Yes. Very, very good morning, everyone. How are you all? Very fine. Chalo. Last class, we started India's 37th. Any doubt in any concept? Any doubt in any concept? Bolo. I hope no doubt. Now, let us revise once what we have done. First, we have done the meaning of provision. What is the meaning of provision? Provisions are liability. Provisions are liability of uncertain amount or timing. What do you mean by liability? Liabilities are present obligation arising from past event, which are expected to be settled through outflow of resource. Correct? It means all liabilities are, all provisions are, but all liabilities are not provision. Means any liability which require estimation that become provision. Correct? Then what do you mean by present obligation? Present obligation means the obligation are probable on reporting date. On reporting date. Got this point? Can I say all the past event does not give rise to obligation on balance sheet date? Correct? Means only those past event which give rise to obligation on balance sheet date will be considered, and that past event will be considered as obligating event. Means always we need to, for this chapter we need to first find out obligating event. Obligating event are those event which arises, which give rise to obligation on reporting date. Correct? Then we have understood that obligation for this chapter are of two types. One is legal obligation, one is constructive obligation. Both need to be considered. Correct? Legal obligation arises due to contract or due to any act Constructive obligation arises due to entity's own action. It may arise due to past practice or published policy or any specific statement which indicate what? That entity will accept the responsibility, and which also create valid expectation on the part of other party. Correct? Understood? Yes. Then when to recognize provision? When three conditions are satisfied. First condition, there must be present obligation arising from past events. Second, outflow of resource are probable. Third, reliable estimation can be made. Correct. We have also understood that only those obligations which exist independently from future conduct of, means entities future conduct of business, should be only recognized as provision. Means any obligation which are dependent on future conduct of business will not be recognized as provision. Got this point? Because outflow of resource in that case will not be probable. Yes, sir. Then we have done one point for legal obligation. Legal obligation arises only when the legislation are enacted, or it is virtually certain by the end of reporting period that such act will be enacted in a short period of time. Correct? Virtually certain means the chances are more than 95%. Then we started the meaning of contingent liability. Contingent liabilities are present obligation arising from past event which was not recognized as provision. Why? Because either outflow of resource is not probable, or reliable estimation cannot be made, or it is a possible obligation arising from past event. What do you mean by possible obligation? Possible obligation means obligations not probable are not probable means chances are less than 50%, less than 50%. Correct? Yes, sir. So possible obligation arising from past event, the existence of which will be confirmed only by occurrence or non-occurrence of uncertain future event which is not within the control of entity. Contingent liability will not recognize, it will be only disclosed in the financial statement unless outflow of resources remote. In that case will not disclose contingent liability. Correct? Then we have done contingent asset. Contingent asset are possible asset arising from past event, the existence of which will be confirmed by occurrence or non-occurrence of uncertain future event which is not within the control of entity. For recognition, means for accounting treatment of contingent asset, we have understood that if inflow are virtually certain, then it is a asset, means it will not be treated as contingent asset, then recognize such asset. But if inflows are probable, then it will be a contingent asset and will not recognize contingent asset. Only will disclose it where? In financial statement, means in notes to financial statement. But if it is not probable, then no treatment, then no accounting treatment. Correct? This much we have done. I hope up to this, no doubt. Now let us complete this chapter today only. So now we'll start about the measurement of provision. Correct? Yeah, how to measure the provision. Of course, can I say whenever a provision need to be recognized, we require one amount. So that amount require estimation. So what Ind AS 37 says that whatever provision you are supposed to be created, that should be measured as per best estimate. It should be the best estimate. But best estimate of what? Best estimate of the expenditure, of course future expenditure. Best estimate of future expenditure which is required to settle the obligation at the end of reporting period. Expenditure which is required to be settled at the end of reporting period, correct? Let's see whether you have understood the English or not. Let's see whether you have understood the English or not. Correct. Now, because you have FM knowledge, so you can also understand the emotions of this particular para. The FM, so you have done in CA Inter. So you know the time value of money, you know present value and future value. Correct. Now, just try to understand. Suppose this is your reporting date, means this is 31st March. Correct. On this date, you are doing estimation for the amount of provision. So you need to estimate either the amount of provision or timing for payment, or both. Let us say that you have already estimated that it will be paid after 3 years. It will be paid, yeah, it is payable after 3 years. So this become y1, this become y2, this become y3, and the amount of payment is 10 lakh. Understood? Correct. So but what will be the amount of provision as on this date? What will be the amount of provision as on this date? Hello? Have you understood what I am saying? Correct. This is the reporting date 31st March. You need to estimate the amount of provision. For that estimation, you require amount as well as the timing. Suppose timing you have estimated that it is payable after 3 years, and amount what you have estimated 10 lakh. This is the best estimate. How it is estimated, that you don't ask me right now. Correct. This is the best estimate given by the management. Now what will be the amount of provision from your point of view at this point of time? Well, this will be discounted amount. Can I say once again applied common sense? Correct. Why? Because they said provision is the best estimate of expenditure which is required to settle the obligation at the end of reporting period. At the end of reporting period, can I say it will be present value of 10 lakh? Present value of 10 lakh. Now you are expert in calculating present value. So I am not here to explain how to calculate present value. Present value, discounting factor, that everything so I am not here to explain the time value of money, that you all know. But can I say as per AS 29 used to create provision at an undiscounted amount, but now under Ind AS it will be at which amount? Discounted amount, if the time value of money is material. So what Ind AS 37 says that provision will be the present value of future expenditure if the time value of money is material. If the time value of money is not material, then you can recognize that undiscounted amount. Understood this point? Follow. Got this? Yes. So it is the best estimate of future expenditure which is required to settle the obligation at the end of reporting period. Now the question is that how to measure the best estimate, means what is the amount of that best estimation. So what Ind AS 37 says that whatever estimation you are doing, that will be based on management judgment. It will be as per management judgment, means whatever management will say, that will become the best estimate. Can you say auditor or chartered accountant are not the person to estimate the amount. Can you see, we are not valuer, we are not valuer, we are accountant, we are expert in accounting, we are expert in income tax, we are expert in IDT, we are expert in audit, but we are not expert in estimation, we are not expert in valuation. So we are not the person who will do valuation, we are not the person who will do estimation. So estimation will be given by as per management judgment, correct, supported by some evidence, supported by some evidence. So what they are saying, estimation are written by management judgment, it need to be supported by, but whatever judgment has been given by management requires some support, requires some evidence. You can cross verify the evidence as an auditor, you can cross verify the evidence ki whatever management has given the judgment, whether it is as per the supporting evidence or not, but you are not the person who will estimate the figure. Are you getting? As a chartered accountant, normally we do the estimation also, that is different point, but we are not the expert in that, we are not the expert in that. So it should be supported by experience of past transaction, experience of past transaction. It is quite possible in the past year there might be some similar transaction, so based on that similar transaction you can estimate the best amount, or it can be supported by report of an expert, report of an expert. That expert can be either internal expert or it can be a external expert. So report of an expert, or it can be evidenced by any additional evidence provided by event occurring after reporting date. So whenever I say event occurring after reporting date, which accounting standard will come in your mind? AS 4, and that become Ind AS 10, that become Ind AS 10. So after Ind AS 37 I will do Ind AS 10 only. So can this point number C will be automatically understood in the next chapter? Point number C will be automatically understood in the next chapter, correct? Key, what do you mean by this? So any additional evidence provided by event occurring after reporting date, correct? So this point number C will do in which Ind AS? Ind AS 10, coming soon in your life, correct? Means from examination point of view, that estimation will be given. Thank you very much. Because we are not the person to estimate the figure now. So from examination point of view, all the information will be given the question, only we need to do some calculation, only we need to do some calculation. Got this point? But I hope you have understood what is the keyword. Estimation will be based on management judgment, this become the keyword, supported by experience of past transaction. Let me take one example. Last class I have given one constructive obligation in my books of account that I am going to announce, is already I have announced that any student who is getting more than 90 or more than 90 marks in the CA final exam conducted by ICI, correct? So I will refund the entire fee excluding the GST. This was my announcement. Now can you say in my books of account, suppose Ind AS is applicable, abhi to AS 29 is applicable because I am a individual, correct now, but suppose a company has been created, to I need to apply Ind AS 37 if suppose I also fall in the limit criteria. I hope you are understanding. So if I am saying Ind AS is applicable, means assume kar lo Ind AS is applicable. Understood? So can I say Ind AS 37 is applicable? So can I say what I will say, in my past batches how many students were there, and out of that student how many students scored 90 or more than 90? That will be based on past experience. Suppose in the my past batches, immediate past batches, suppose they were 200 student, मान लेते हैं 200 student, and out of 200 let us say 5 student got 90 or more than 95 marks, sorry 90 marks. So 5 by 200 how much percentage? 5 by 200 how much percentage? 2.5% student are getting 90 or more than 90 marks. So can you see that given evidence that in this batch also on and around 2.5% student may get what, 90 or more than 90 marks. So I will calculate the number of students, multiply by 2.5%, multiply by fees, that will become the amount of provision, but this is an undiscounted amount. So if the time value of money is matter here, we need to also discount it, I hope you have understood. So this is based on past experience, but how to measure, that will be one question. How to measure, this is important. from examination point of view. So what India says that when the obligation involve large population, can you see in my case when I have done announcement, so whether I will create whether I will create provision one to one basis based on the large population of student. Large population of student in my case, this first para will be applicable. First para will be applicable when obligation involve large population. In that case, what India 37 says that determine the expected value of obligation. What is the keyword? Expected value of obligation. Now, how to calculate expected value of obligation? That will be equal to weighted average of all possible outcome. Weighted average of all possible outcome. This all information will be given the question only to apply mathematics skills. Let me give one example for this particular case. Let me give an example. Let us suppose this is 1 year accounting year, correct? 2023-24. In this year, number of units sold is 10 lakh. Number of units sold is 10 lakh, correct? And the unit was sold with a warranty, warranty, with a warranty of 2 year. Let us assume 2 year. Warranty means, can I say, if any defect is identified, so it will be the obligation of the manufacturer or this entity to rectify the defect or replace the part, correct? Means replace the damaged part. Understood? So can I say, if suppose that any customer will come with the defect, so we need to do repair expenses, we need to remove that defect, so there is some future expenditure because of this past event. So sale is a past event and warranty has been given, so it will all the that all the three condition is satisfied or not. First condition, there is a present obligation arising from past event and outflow is also probable based on the past transaction. Of course there will be some defect, also of course there will be some defect, correct? Now based on the past experience, suppose we need to identify some information. So based on past experience, 50% customer will come with no defect. Quite possible. This all information will be given by management or by an expert. Means in the question all information will be given. So you don't ask, sir, how to, then we need to ask management na. Correct? Suppose 30% will come with minor defect, and 20% will come with major defect. Correct? Understood this point? Now, if there is a minor defect, outflow will be 1000 rupees. Here so it will be nil. If there is a major defect, the outflow will be suppose 2500. And in exam they will say calculate the amount of provision. Can't you calculate? What will be the expected? You need to find out expected value of obligation. So what is the expected value of obligation? Batao. Correct. You will do 10 lakh into 50% into nil, 0. Then 10 lakh into 30% into 1000. Then 10 lakh into 20% into 2500. You have calculate it, calculated also. Super. How much? 80 crore. Oh my god, 80 crore. One figure came, 80 crore. What do you think? This type of question should be asked or should not be asked in exam? Should be asked or should not be asked in exam? Then at a CA final level, think about that. Is CA final level whether this type of question should be asked or should not be asked? Now you are saying na should not be asked. At CA final is so complicated. Everyone says na. But this question have been asked for 5 marks. For 5 marks. 5 marks question have been asked in past attempt. Now with MCQs, they will not ask 5 marks, they will ask 2 marks. The same question will come in MCQ for 2 marks, because in the previous attempt there was no MCQs. So they have asked this question for how many marks? 5 marks. But now if the same question will come from my point of view, they will ask similar question in MCQs for 2 marks. So 2 marks is also very easy. Now you are getting 2 marks only for 1 minute calculation. हो गया? Correct. So CA exam is very easy if you retain all the concept. I will say CA exam is easy, but if you can retain all the concept. Correct. There is one proviso. If you can retain all the concepts, CA exam is very easy. Why? Because if a new question is coming, देखो 90% probability is that all the questions will be from ICS study material. It means already you have done. Already you have done means you have understood. And from my point of view, from my experience, CA final student, even though if they don't know the concept, but they will understand the solution. Whatever is given by ICI. Means you are very much expert in understanding the solution of any given question. You will understand the solution even though you don't know the concept. If you have understood solution and the same question is coming or similar question is coming in exam, can't you write? अरे बोलना रे अभी just try to understand. If suppose I would have not done India 37 and I would have given this question with this solution, whether you say no sir, I have not understood. This is present value concept. You say understood now. Even though India is 37, you don't know. You have understood solution or not. The same question will come. You don't know India is 37. You can't you write. Are you getting what I am saying? It means if 90% probability, what I am saying 90% probability is that all the question will come from ICS study material, RTP, MTP or past year exam question. So if that question is coming, already you have practiced that question. So what is wrong in that? Means where is the lack that you can't retain the point? Student will not be able to retain the point. And because of that reason, CA exam become complicated. So in that area we need to work. In that area we need to work. Smart study is required. If you can do smart study, CA exam is very easy. And you can easily get more than 60 in every subject. Not only in FR. Every subject you can get more than 60. More than 60. Chalo. Now, I hope you have understood. So when obligation involve large population, determine expected value. So what is the keyword? Expected value of obligation, which is nothing but weighted average of all possible outcome. Then when there is a single obligation, now suppose there is only single obligation with two possible outcome, and there are only two possible outcome, means there are not more than two outcome. There are two possible outcomes. In that case, what India says that don't do average. Then the amount of provision will be equal to the most likely outcome. Most likely outcome. Then provision is created based on most likely outcome. Let me give one situation. Correct. Suppose on 31st March, our legal case is pending and all the condition was satisfied and therefore provision is required. Then only you will do measurement, na? Correct. Now, as per the expert means lawyer opinion. Correct. There is 70% chance that we need to pay 70% chance that we need to pay low damages. Are you getting what I am saying? Correct. And 30% chance that we need to pay high damages. Damages means compensation. Correct. High damages. Correct. Then they will also give you the information about the amount of damages. That all estimation will be done by lawyer only, expert. Information will be given the question. So we can't ask why this is 20 lakh or 10 lakh or 5 lakh. That is not our job. So suppose low damages is 2 lakh and high damages is 10 lakh. But in this case, what will be the amount of provision? Most likely outcome. So what is the most likely outcome? 70%. So you will say 70% of 2 lakh, or you will say 2 lakh. 2 lakh. देखो 1 second correct. 1 second correct na. I am saying 70% 2 lakh or 2 lakh. You have said 2 lakh, means you have applied common sense. You have applied common sense. You can't do 70% 2 lakh because you have not considered here 30%. So here the amount of provision will be 2 lakh provided there is no discounting. If it is discounted amount, then of course you need to find out the discounted amount also. Got this point? This become most likely outcome method. Most likely outcome method. Till now, no question of this nature has been given in ICS study material. Correct. However, with MCQs, from my point of view, now this type of question can be asked. With MCQs, this type of question can be asked. Till now, no question has been given. In your ICS study material, RTP, MTP, you will not find this type of question. But concept is very easy. Concept is very easy. Chalega. So write down. Wherever there is no question, I will write down no question. No question. It means in ICR resource there is no question. Then also with MCQs now all paras are important. Means when I used to teach in old scheme of syllabus, believe me, I used to say no question, not important from exam point of view. I used to say in this way. But now with MCQs all paras become important. And we are not experienced right now what will be the level of MCQs because only one exam gone. So what will be the level? And dire they will increase the level of MCQs. Definitely they will increase the level of MCQs also. This time to MCQs was very easy, but easy, but I will say quality questions were asked. Quality questions was asked, but they will increase the level of MCQ. Chalega? Yes. Now present value already I have said. Already I have said. So when the effect of time value of money is material, when the effect of time value of money is material. Now sir, how will understand that time value of money is material? As per the information given in the question. Means we are not supposed to decide whether time value of money is material or time value of money is not material. Means from exam point of view, it will be based on the information given in the question. Practically will decide whether time value of money is material or time value of money is not material. Correct now. Normally what from as per the practical understanding, whenever the amount is payable within 1 year, so we will say time value of money is not material. But if the amount is payable after 1 year, we say the time value of money is material. This is as per practical understanding. This is not given under Ind AS. This is not given under Ind AS. So when I say as per practical understanding, so this is my practical knowledge, and because of that reason I am saying this is not given under Ind AS. Means can you say depends upon the facts and circumstances? It will depend upon facts and circumstances. Sir ये बताओ exam में क्या करना है? Correct. From exam point of view, can you say whenever discount rate is given, then discounted amount. Whenever discount rate is not given, then undiscounted amount, because we cannot estimate discount rate in exam hall. So whenever discount rate is given, then it means time value of money is material. If discount rate is not given, means what? Time value of money is not material. So from exam point of view, this will yahi chalega. If you want to write down, write down. Write down. Discount rate given, then calculate present value. Otherwise, recognize at undiscounted amount. Otherwise, recognize that undiscounted amount. Because in exam, we can't assume rate of interest. We can't assume rate of interest. Whenever rate of interest is not given, we'll ignore it. We'll ignore it. Chalega? Yes, sir. Where the time value, where the effect of time value money is material, the amount of provision should be the present value of expenditure expected to be required to settle the obligation. Correct. Now, expected present value of outflow are calculated as follows. Expected present value of outflow. Expected present value of outflow is calculated as follows. Each outcome is discounted to its present value. Each outcome is discounted to its present value. The present value of outcome are weighted by their associate probability. Means whatever question I have given, this question, correct. So this was the actually outcome. So first we need to find out a present value of this outcome and then multiply by what? Probability. Then multiply by probability. Understood? So as per Ind AS 7, first you find out a present value of all outcome given. Outcome is amount as per the different possibilities. So first find out a present value of all outcome, then multiply by probability, then whatever end result is coming, that will become the discounted amount, means that will become the amount of provision. Understood? Correct. However, for this para also there is no question in ICS study material. There is no question for this particular para. But you only say, if suppose a question has been created for this particular para, can't you do by your own? Can't you do by your own? You will say out of book, out of syllabus. It's very easy now. So what I am saying, if you understand the content, any question you can do, provided you can retain the content. Got this point? So whenever new question is created, your new question will be created from those particular para for which till now no question has been asked in exam or asked in ICS study material. Got this point? Yes, sir. Chalo. Discount rate should be pre-tax. One clarification has been given. This is one type of clarification. Again, discount rate will be pre-tax only. Why? Because provision is charged to profit and loss account before tax. It is before tax. The discount rate will be also pre-tax rate. Pre-tax rate, so I hope you know, post-tax rate and pre-tax rate. Correct? Yes, sir. The provision should be also measured before tax. Of course, before tax. It should not be after tax or net of tax. Whatever amount of provision you will calculate, that will be before tax. Correct. Then there is one special point of expected disposal of asset. Expected disposal of asset. Correct. Expected disposal of asset. Let me take one simple example. Correct. Suppose a machinery has been damaged and there is an expected repair, and suppose all the conditions are satisfied. So can you see, you need to create provision for repair. Provision for repair. Now when you are doing repair on that machinery, there will be some damaged part. That part can be sold as a scrap, or it can be sold in the market also. Damaged part can be also sold or not. Damaged part can be sold. For example, what happened with me, the PC got what? The PC was not working properly. So motherboard में कुछ problem था. There was some problem in motherboard. So we need to replace the motherboard. Then my employee said me, sir, we can sell this motherboard in the market. So we went to the market and I have received 2000 for that damaged motherboard. Correct now. I was not knowing this fact. My employee informed me, so I get maja aa gaya bhai. Correct. Now the question is that we should create provision for expected repair net of gain on expected sale. Ki it should not be net of. What do you think? Apply common sense. Abhi we have not read, and don't read before I read. Okay. Don't read any para. Once you read the para, interest will be lost. Then what is the use of coming? Remain in home and read it. Everything is given. Correct now. So we are here to develop the common sense. Even though you have forgotten, exam may same question come. Can you attempt it? Yes, if you apply your common sense. So I am just trying to develop your common sense. Have you understood this para? Whatever I have given the example. The example was that suppose repair was required and all the condition is satisfied. Therefore, we should create provision for repair. But in this event, what happened? There is some damaged part which can be sold in the market. So we should create provision. The amount of provision will be net of the sale proceed. Yeah, expected gain on that sale. Or we should not consider that expected gain. We should consider or we should not consider. How many are saying not consider? How many consider? हो गया. Correct ना. Doubt आ गया. Correct. Just try to understand expected sale. Should we recognize expected sale? Suno. Can we recognize expected sale? Can we recognize expected gain on sale? Can we recognize expected gain on sale? And gain on sale will be covered under Ind AS 16 means AS 10 property, plant and equipment. Property, plant and equipment. So Ind AS 37 has given clarification. It should not be considered. It should not be considered. Amount of provision will be with gross amount, with not with the net amount. So and clarification has been given once again. No question from this particular point, but from my point of view, this is very important, which can be asked in exam. Anytime can be asked in exam. Write down, write down important. This para is very, very important. Very, very important. 100% a question can be asked in exam, and now with MCQs, so very, very important. Correct. What is given? Gain on expected disposal of asset should not be taken into account in measuring a provision. Now, देखो simple point. Very simple point. Gain will not be considered. But in exam, can you answer if you are not retaining this point? So why the question become complicated? Because you have forgotten the point. Question is easy. Exam paper is easy, but we have forgotten the content. I have a very simple point now. I mean, right now I can ask any question after reading this. You will answer. But can you retain this point till exam? This is difficulty. Difficulty is that retention. Difficulty is that retention. Correct. An entity should recognize gain on expected disposal of asset at the time specified by reference to respective Ind AS. Respective Ind AS means we can say Ind AS 16. Yeah, we'll do Ind AS 16 property, plant and equipment. Correct. This para is very important from exam point of view. Till now, no question on this nature. Okay. Then coming to risk and uncertainties. Now what happened? Just try to understand. I mean, right now I have said that we should create provision based on past experience. Correct now? Means whatever example I have taken, this example, this was based on past experience. But can you say future can be different? Future is based on lot of uncertainties. So can you say this amount may change or not? This amount may change. So what Ind AS 37 says that for the risk and uncertainties that your expected amount may be different from your actual amount. Your expected amount may be different from actual amount. Some risk adjustment is required. Some risk adjustment is required. How to do that risk adjustment, that we need to understand. Correct? Got this point? So what they are saying? Let us see. The risk and uncertainties that surround many events and circumstances shall be taken into account in reaching the best estimate of the provision. This is in simple word, risk and uncertainties should be considered for calculating the amount of provision. A risk adjustment, a risk adjustment should be made for the amount that entity would pay in excess of expected present value of outflow due to uncertainty attached with the actual outcome. Means actual outcome can be different from the expected outcome, and because of that uncertainty we need to do some risk adjustment. Now how to perform that risk adjustment? Can you say once again, as per the information given in the question? As per the information given in the question. Please believe me, any question will come. If you are a CA final student, you will be able to understand, yes, some adjustment is required. But what India 37 says that this risk adjustment can be done in three ways. Can be done in three ways. So what are that three ways that we need to understand? Well, risk adjustment can be accounted in the following ways. First, either adding it to expected present value of future outcome, either add, yeah, increase the future value of outcome, or adjusting the estimate of future outflow, or adjusting the estimate of future outflow, or adjusting the discount rate, or do some adjustment in discount rate. Do some adjustment in discount rate means, abhi right now, suppose we have done one question ki what we have done ki minor defect, major defect and no defect. So what was our outcome? Outflow was how much? It was nil. It was 1000, 2500. Then probability I have given 50%, 30% and 20%. Multiply by 10 lakh, 10 lakh, 10 lakh. This only we have done now. So this will be the amount of, this will be. So how to calculate the adjusted risk adjustment? Now, if there is a present value means discount factor given, discounting. So we'll do discounting of this future outcome. We'll do discounting of future outcome. So multiply by discount factor, multiply by discount factor, multiply by discount factor. Whatever is given, suppose at the rate of 10%, that too we can calculate now. At a rate of 10%, 12%, whatever given discount factor we can calculate. So this will be one amount. This will be the 0. This will be suppose X. This suppose Y. Then multiply with what? 50%, 30%, 20%. Well, either you adjust this amount, either you adjust this amount, or you adjust this amount, or you adjust what? Discount rate, or you adjust discount rate. Means that will be given the question only. That will be given the question only now. Once again, no question of this name. Means good question, so they are not asking. If they will ask this question now, then I will say it is a difficult paper. Believe me, if this question they will, if they start asking this type of question, then it will become difficult question paper. But till now, no question ICS study material, till now this type of question has not been asked in exam. Has not been asked in exam. Always in exam they will give you risk adjusted discount rate. They will give you risk adjusted discount rate. Means whatever rate of discount will be given, that will be risk adjusted only. Correct? Means I am here only to inform you that either you adjust this amount as per the information is given. Suppose they have given that increase the present value of all outcome by 5%. Increase kar do. Yeah, increase the outflow by 10%. Increase kar do. Or adjust the risk discount by this much percentage. That also we can do. After adjustment, whatever amount is coming, that will become the amount of provision as per the risk adjustment. Got this point? Yes, sir. I hope you have understood. Once again, no question in ICI study material. No question. Correct? Have you understood? However, they have given one very simple question. Very simple question. Let me come to that question. This question 5 you can do now. Similar type of questions are there. You also write down question 5 you can do by your own. Okay, na? Because I have already explained. Come to this question 6. This a simple question has been given. Now this type of question can be asked in MCQs. What they have given? X Solar Power Limited, a power company, has a present obligation to dismantle its plant after 35 years of useful life. So has a present obligation as has a present obligation to dismantle the plant. So whenever you dismantle, there will be some expenditure for dismantling. So if all the conditions satisfied, we have to create provision for dismantling. Provision for dismantling. X Power Limited cannot cancel this obligation or transfer third party. Means outflow is probable. Cannot cancel, cannot transfer. Outflow is probable. X Solar Power Limited has estimated the total cost of dismantling is 50 lakh. The present value of which is 30 lakh. Based on the facts and circumstances, X Solar Power Limited consider the risk factor of 5%, that is risk that actual outflow would be more than expected present value. How should X Solar Power Limited account for the obligation? Whether this 5% should be adjusted with 50 lakh or 30 lakh. 30 lakh given in the question only. But the bacha question na. Now you will say this is a difficult question. Or if you have done some mistake, because you are not able to understand information, then so I will say it is our loss now. The same question can be asked in MCQ for 2 marks. Got this point? Same thing written 30 lakh plus 5%, 31 lakh 50,000 is what? The amount of provision. Got this point? You can write down here. Only one simple question given. Question number 6. Refer question number 6. This reference, even though I am not saying, now you always write down. So whenever after any concept I am doing question, so write down that reference question. I will sometime I'll forget to inform you, write down. But I am not saying write down. If for this particular question I have done this question, this will help you at a time of revision. So when you are reading this point, read that question. So examination coverage हो गया ना? Examination coverage हो गया. So that is your job, not my job. I will always inform you, write. But suppose if I am not informing, then you write. Okay? Yes. Done. With this, we have understood how to do measurement. How to do measurement. Let me take one beautiful question. Question 20. Question 20. Till now not asked in exam expected. Till now not asked in exam expected. Correct. Marico has an obligation to restore environmental damage in the area surrounding his factory. Expert advice indicate that restoration will be carried out in two distinct phases. The first phase requiring expenditure of 2 million to remove the contaminated soil from area, and the second phase commencing 3 years later from the end of first phase to replant the area with suitable trees and vegetation. Means we need to restore the damage whatever we have done in that environment. So there is a legal obligation, has an obligation. It can be legal obligation or constructive obligation. They have written obligation, so we'll assume either it is a legal obligation or constructive obligation. The estimated cost of replanting is 3.5 million. So what was the estimated cost of first phase? Second phase, every information is given. Correct. Marico uses a cost of capital before tax of 10%. This 10% is what? Discount rate. Before tax, we want before tax only. We want before tax. And the expenditure when incurred will attract tax relief at the company marginal tax rate of 30%. Means, of course, can I say this is but the tax relief means it is allowable under income tax act. ऐसा मान सकते हैं. Or they will get some tax benefit in that. What will do about 30%? Nothing, because provision will create before tax. Before tax. Now suppose you have forgotten this and you are now creating provision before tax as provision after tax. So it is your loss now. Everything is very simple. Now they want to only confuse you in exam by giving 30% tax rate. Now whenever information is given, we try to apply it. We try to apply it. So 30% is of no use. Of no use. Marico has not recognized any provision for such costs in the past, and today's date is 31st March 2002. So on this date we need to create provision. The first phase of the cleanup will commence in a few months time and will be completed on 31st March 2003 when the first payment of 2 million will be made. Phase 2 will be paid 3 years later from the end of first phase. Calculate the amount to be provided at 31st March 2002 for the restoration cost. Don't see the answer. Calculate the amount. Abhi right now, pass. Suppose same questions come in exam. I said expected. Means I am writing expected question in exam. I am assuming that you know present value. Okay. Calculated. Your answer you got 2.39 lakhs million. One answer I got 2.39 million. Any other answer? Everyone will calculate, huh? No one will see the solution. Bolo. 4 point 4.62 million. Answer change. 4.39. 4.19. Are you able to understand what is happening? Are you able to understand what is happening? A simple question, 4 answer I got. MCQ में 4 options will be there. You can't say this question is difficult, huh? Because you know FM and this is the lollipop question. All information very much clear. And right now I am also with you. Then also you are not able to get the answer in class when you are without any pressure. In exam, so socho how much pressure you will have that you need to handle in exam hall. And you are able to understand why C exam is complicated. In class also we are not able to calculate the correct amount. I don't know what wrong, what mistake you have done. But there is some mistake or not. There is some mistake or not. Conceptual mistake is still not there. Because concept you have understood. There is some calculation mistake. Or you have not understood the emotions of the question only. Any other answer? 4.4. 4.4, 4.39. This may be difference between discounting factor. Someone has taken 3 decimal, someone has taken 4 decimal, 5 decimal. So I will say these two are same. 4.39 and 4.4 are same. Let's see what is the answer. 42 lakh 8,500. So it is to 44 lakh na. 4.4 million means what? 4.4 million means what? 44 lakh. This is what? 41 lakh. Are you getting what I'm saying? This is so super wrong. Super wrong. There are some around something, but just try to understand now. You are examiner. You are checking the paper. क्या करोगे बताओ? Are you getting? So let's see whether there may be some approximation difference. There may be some approximation difference. First, let's see whether you have done correct or not. Let me explain you. Correct. Now, what is the current date? 31st 31st December 2002. What is the 1 year after that? 31st December 2003. Here it is 2 million. 2 million means 20 lakh. 2 million means 20 lakh. Then after 3 years, na? After 3 years means this will be 04, this is 05, this is 06. How much here? 30, 35 na? 35 lakh, 35 lakh. Correct. Now it means on 31st December 2003, it will be 20 lakh. We will calculate present value factor at what rate? 10%. 10% it will be 0.909. Now the question, one question arises, how much decimal will take? Whether will take 3 decimal, 4 decimal, 5 decimal, entire decimal. How much you have taken? You have taken entire, I think so, because you have done in calculator. Correct now. Now if you have taken entire decimal, write entire decimal यहाँ पर. First, you need to inform examiner. If it is not an MCQ based question, MCQ based question चलेगा. In calculator कर लो. But if it is suppose 5 marks question, you will write down what discounting factor you have taken. If you have taken entire decimal, write down entire decimal. Now you are writing 3 decimal, but multiplying with entire decimal, they will give you anda. They will give you anda because you have written 3 decimal na. If you have written 3 decimal means assumption what you have taken. This is discounting factor. अरे बोल दे yes or no. So be careful. This is CA exam and CA exam में checking होता with some rule. There is some rule of checking, and that rule they will follow na. Who will follow? Who is checking the paper? So there is some rule. He just take the discounting factor taken by the student. But normally what I have seen, student will write 3 decimal, will write 4 decimal, but multiply करते हैं entire decimal से. क्या मजा आता है? If you are writing 3 decimal, why you are multiplying with entire decimal? क्योंकि मजा आता है ना कैलकुलेटर में. Be careful about this point, because if you are writing 0.909, it means you have taken one assumption that this is discounting factor, and if you have taken that assumption, don't multiply with entire decimal. Are you getting what I am saying? Correct? देखो सर क्या फर्क पड़ता सर, करेक्ट है ना सर? Cry, they will not give marks. Once again I will say the paper is checked by those person who has taken multiple attempts. Don't give any chance. Don't give any chance that they have they have a right to deduct marks. But once again, objective is not selection, objective is rejection. Got this point? So be careful about this point. So what is, if you have written this, how much it is coming? Or if you want to calculate in million, let us take in million only 2 million. This is correct. You can do in 2 million also. Because information has been given in 2 million, so you can do calculation 2 million chalega. Okay, 2 million into this how much? How much? 1.81. Then 31st December 2004. So nothing. 5 nothing. 31st December 2006. So what will be the discounting factor? 0.3.5. 0.683. How much it is coming? 2.390 कर दो, 2 decimal. How much it is coming? 4.20. So I think this become the correct answer. And what is the answer given? As per them, you can see as per them it is 42 lakh approximately. So I think you have taken entire decimal. How many you have taken entire decimal? Entire decimal, what answer is coming? Entire decimal, what answer is coming? 40. 4.20. That is also coming 42 lakh. Means this is also not correct. This might be correct, but I don't know. This is also not correct. So it means one simple question, you have not got the marks. I don't know what you have done. What mistake you have done? Discounting factor. What mistake you have done? Arey bolo. Discounting factor means you have taken, I understood what you have taken. You have taken 0.909 and 0. You have taken this. What you have taken? Understood, some mistake you have done now. It means you are not able to understand the emotions of question. Got this point? Abhi only I am explaining the point where you will do mistake. Abhi intention is not to teach. Intention is not to teach. Abhi to I am just informing with this chapter, that simple chapter you are doing mistake. What will happen when I come to consolidation, business combination, share based payment, financial instrument, you will die. Are you getting what I am saying? Correct? तो पहली बात तो morning come in the class by taking a bath. Means you should not be sleepy. Correct? Are you getting what I am saying? Of course, all have taken bath, but lot of concentration required. Lot of concentration required. And if suppose in these 3 hours you can't concentrate, so how you will concentrate in exam hall? Yes, little deviation mistake हो जाएगा, accident हो जाएगा. Do you watch IPL matches? झूठ तो मत बोलना. Correct? IPL matches. Can you say one over will change the entire game? One over will change the entire game. The same thing, one question will change your game. One question will change your game. One question aggregate nahi hoga. And that question was actually you were knowing, but you have done some mistake. And because of that mistake, aggregate nahi aaya. 6 month difference. So every question is important. Every question is important. So make an habit. You are not an auditor, you are a student. Bolo, I am a student. Bolo, I am a student. Whenever you are reading the question, so write down in this way. If you are understanding the question, then only you can answer. And normally we do not understand the information given the question, because we are the expert. We are expert in English. We think we are Paramatma. We can understand any question by reading only. Try to interpret. Try to interpret. And if you would have done in this way, you would have taken the correct discounting factor. So from my point of view, you have taken wrong discounting factor for this last year. Question you have understood. English समझ गए थे. But while writing, you have done some mistake. So be careful. This is my initial class. अभी आने वाला है. This is my initial class. Got this point? Yes, sir. So what I say? Now you only say simple question or complicated question. Well, a simple question or complicated question. Normally you will say complicated in exam when your answer is wrong. The simple question will become complicated if you are not able to get a right answer. The paper is simple, but you make it what? Complicate. You make it complicated. Whenever exam will come, just try to understand. Whenever exam, whenever exam, whenever exam hota hai, you ask your senior this item. They will say paper was simple, but question paper was lengthy. How it is possible? Paper was simple but lengthy. If it is simple, then how it can be lengthy? Am I right or not? Simple means you can write na. Means practice ही नहीं है. They have no habit of writing. So whose mistake? Paper was not lengthy. You have no habit of writing, or you are doing a lot of mistakes. Because of that mistake, you are taking a lot of time. You are taking a lot of time in getting answer for one question, and because that reason you are not able to attempt other question. So that you need to improve. That you need to improve. You need to work on that. Balance work. So I will do. I will give you the concept. We'll do most of the question in class. Correct? Yes, sir. Chalo. Now coming to the next point. Reimbursement. Now the chapter is actually over. Now there are some small point that we need to understand. However, there are 4 special points from which question may come in exam. 4 special points. Understood? One of the special point is reimbursement. So now only I will give you the concept. Correct now? You need to answer what is given in India 37. Means I'll give you one case study to explain this particular concept. So reimbursement means what? The amount of expenditure for which you have created provision may be reimbursed by third party. May be reimbursed by third party. That third party can be any internal person, it can be any external party. External party means it can be insurance company, it can be insurance company. What is topic? Topic I hope you have understood. Topic you have understood. When expenditure required to be settled is expected to be reimbursed by third party. Is expected to be reimbursed by third party. Let me take one case study. You will say what need to be done. Suppose this is 31st March. 31st March. A legal case was going on and all the conditions were satisfied, and you have measured the amount of provision. Suppose as per the best estimate, the amount of provision will be 10 lakh. Understood? Now one of the director has given a commitment to the company. Don't worry, I will reimburse the entire amount to the company because this case was because of his mistake. Means this damages was due to his mistake. So he is committed to the company that I will reimburse the entire amount. Correct? It means there is some expected reimbursement when the actual outflow will be there. So right now there is some expected reimbursement. Understood? So can you say the reimbursement amount will be equal to the actual outflow only? Correct. So let us assume it is also 10 lakh. My question to you all in that case, in this case, first question, should we create provision? Because that is going to be reimbursed. So should we create provision? Yes or no? 100% correct. Applied common sense? Applied common sense? Yes. Because there are 2 different transactions. outflow is a different transaction and this expected reimbursement different transaction. For different transaction you apply different concept. So first outflow, of course if all the conditions are satisfied you need to create provision as per Ind AS 37. Now coming to expected reimbursement, my question to you all, for expected reimbursement what you will do? Raise your hand. For this expected reimbursement means expected inflow. Expected reimbursement means expected inflow. So what you will do? Raise your hand. I will ask the person who is raising hand. Follow. Disclosure as contingent. One answer I got, disclosure as contingent asset. Any other answer? Very good. Difference समझो. Difference. I said very good. Your answer was correct. मजा नहीं आया. Because we have done that. You should say if the inflow is virtually certain, then it is an asset. Recognize reimbursement asset. If the amount of inflow, if the inflow is probable, then it is not an asset. Then disclose the contingent asset. Understood? What I said, we have done all the concept. Now to apply that concept in this special case. And this type of question they will ask in exam. This type of question they will ask in exam. But you need to write as per the content of Ind AS 37 now. You can't write disclose contingent asset. Correct? You write down if the, suppose the question is not clear because I have not informed you whether it is virtually certain or it is not virtually certain. It means question is not clear. You should write down if the inflow is virtually certain, then recognize a reimbursement asset. Now what Ind AS 37 says in this case, let us understand. So what Ind AS 37 says, correct? Key, if the reimbursement is virtually certain means chances are more than 95%. So guys, from the information given the question we to understand whether it is virtually certain or whether it is not virtually certain. So some indication will be given. Some indication will be given. Correct. Recognize a reimbursement as a separate asset. Separate asset means what? It cannot be set off with the amount of provision in the balance sheet. Means in the balance sheet you write down provision separately and reimbursement asset separately. Reimbursement asset separately. So recognize a reimbursement asset as a reimbursement as a separate asset in balance sheet. Correct. However, in SOPL, net amount will be recognized as an expense. Net amount means provision less reimbursement asset. The net amount will be recognized as an expense. So in SOPL, net amount will be recognized as an expense. Understood? In balance sheet, separate. In SOPL, net amount. Understood? So such amount is set off against provision and net amount is shown in profit and loss account. So in SOPL, net expense will be shown. Net expense will be shown. Understood? Now my question to you all, whether reimbursement asset amount can be more than provision amount? No. In any case, it cannot be. Means reimbursement amount cannot exceed the amount of provision. Cannot exceed. Should not exceed the amount of provision. So one clarification has been given. The amount recognized as reimbursement asset should not exceed the amount of provision. Then, if it is not virtually certain, so either it will be probable. If probable, then disclose it as contingent asset. If not probable, no treatment. That is only. So not recognized as an asset. However, if the inflow is probable, expected reimbursement should be disclosed in the notes to account. Easy. Topic is very easy. Correct. Let me come to one question. Question 9. First simple question. Then I will take to an interesting question. X Beauty Solution Limited is selling cosmetic product under a brand name B, but it is getting its product manufactured from Y Limited. It has an understanding with Y Limited that if the company become liable for any damages claim due to an injury or harm to the customer of cosmetic product, 30% will be reimbursed to it by Y Limited. What do you mean by it has an understanding with Y Limited? Understanding means what? Means there is a contract or not? Contract, because contract can be oral also. There is a legal obligation or not? Yes. So there is an matlab, what understanding means, can I say? Can I say there is a contract? There is a contract. Yes. During the financial year 2001-2002, a claim for rupees 30 lakh demanded by the customer from X Beauty Solution Limited, means what will be the reimbursement amount? 9 lakh, 9 lakh. How should X Beauty Solution Limited account for the claim that become payable? But what will be the amount of provision? 30 lakh. What will be the reimbursement asset? No, no, no. पहले बताओ whether it is virtually certain. Can I say from the question it is understood, because there is an understanding, it is virtually certain only. Therefore, as per Ind AS 37, we will create a separate reimbursement asset and the amount of expense in SOPA will be 21 lakh. That is only given. Check karo. In 9 lakh will be the reimbursement asset. In SOPL 21 lakh, and a separate provision will be how much? 30 lakh. That is given. 2 marks question MCQs. Now all this question can be asked in MCQs format. They will give this case study. They will write down what will be the amount of expense in SOPL. 21 lakh. What is the amount of provision in balance sheet? Most of the student will write 21 lakh. Most of the student, because exam to will be after 1.5 year or after 6 months, and who will revise in days 37? कौन revise करता? If you will not revise, you will forget now. Right now it is very easy because अभी ताजा ताजा. After 2 days, 3 days, I will ask, you will forget. One more question let us take. Acha, do you know AS4? So then I will take that question. AS4 याद है ना? Because it has some combination of Ind AS 10, but till now I have not done Ind AS 10. Ind AS 10 is nothing but AS4. Can I take that question? Even occurring after balance in lollipop chapter, adjusting non-adjusting event. याद है ना? चलो ठीक. (23) During the year, QA Limited delivered manufactured product to customer K. Customer K. Question 23. The product were faulty, and on 1st October 2016, customer K commenced legal action against the company, claiming damages in respect of losses due to supply of faulty product. Understood? Upon investigation, now one more habit. Whenever you are reading question, always underline that, always circle the date, yeah, highlight the date and amount. There are two information which are important from examination point. One is date, one is amount. Date, amount, yeah, rate of interest, etc. Because that is only required for solving it. Correct now? So always what? Circle it, because we can't highlight in exam hall. We can't use highlighter na. Can we use highlighter? We can't use. So don't highlight. Give circle. Upon investigation, the matter, QA Limited discovered that product were faulty due to defective raw material purchased from supplier F. So what he will do? He will file a case. Therefore, on 1st December 2016, the company commenced legal action against F, claiming damages in respect of the supply of defective raw material. Means there are two cases. One is a case filed by supplier. One is a case filed by customer. बोल दो पहले. Customer to against whom? QA Limited. One is a case filed by QA Limited against supplier. QA Limited has estimated that its probability of success of both legal action, that is action against action of K against QA Limited and action of QA Limited against F is very high. What is the meaning of this para? If you have understood this now, तो आगे चल सकते हैं. English is very funny language. Means what they want to say. In the first case, the chances of winning is for whom? QA or K? Customer or QA? देखो डाउट आ रहा है. Someone is saying QA also. Who is saying QA? हाँ इसमें रुको 1 second. For you only I have said because देखो just try. Once you have wrongly interpreted, game is over. Now so whatever you are writing, 0 marks. Now you are wasting your time in exam hall. Yes or no? So you have not understood information only. Now whatever you are writing that will be wrong only na. Am I right or not? It means first to understanding the question, then applying the concept, and then solving it. There are 3 processes. Most of the students die in understanding the question only. Wrong information taken. Wrong information taken. Now game over. Game over na? Correct? So only for you. Don't worry, huh? Don't worry. QA Limited has estimated that its probability of success of both legal action. The action of K against QA Limited is very high. English, the action of K against QA Limited means whose winning chance is high? K Limited. And action of QA Limited against F is very high. Whose chances of winning is high? QA Limited. Understood now? Interpretation understood? Correct? Yes, sir. Of course, can I say in one case, if the question will become eligible for India's 37, in one case there will be outflow and in one case there will be inflow. Then only it will be eligible for this chapter. Eligible for this chapter. On 1st October 2016, this was the date of case. First case. QL Limited has estimated damages it will have to pay K would be 5 crore. Means this was an estimated amount. This estimate was revised to 5.2 crore on 31st March means year end and 5.25 crore as on 15th May 2017. This 15th May 2017, I don't know what is this. This case was eventually settled on 1st June 2017 when the company actually paid damages of 5.3 crore. Oh my god. There are 4 dates given. Simple, but with the date it become difficult. Correct? Can you give me first date? Date batao. First is what? 1st October. Then 31st March. Then 15 May. Then 1st June. Can you give me the amount? 5 crore. Then 5.2. Then 5.25. Then 5.3. Correct? चलेगा आगे चलते. Next. On 1st December 2006, this is the date of second case. QA Limited has estimated that it would receive inflow damages of 3.5 crore from F. This estimate was revised to 3.6 on 31st March and 3.7 on 15th May. This case was eventually settled on 1st June when F paid 3.75 to QA Limited. QA Limited had its financial statement for the year ended 31st March 2017 provided rupees 3.6 crore as the financial statement were approved by the board of directors on 26 April. Means what is the approval date? 26 April. So you have understood there is some date of approval also, means it is a combination of India's 37 and India's 10. So I am assuming that you know AS4. I am assuming that you know AS4. Can you give me the dates? The date of filing was what? 1st December. Then what was the estimation here? 3 point. Then date I know 3.6. Then both are 3.75. This was 3.7. Correct. Okay. And what is the date of approval? 26th April. Now you are creating provision for this financial statement. Now batao. Whether this information is relevant, yes or no? No, bakwas information. Because any information after approval of financial statement is bakwas. Bakwas हो गया ना? Am I right or not? If you know AS4, if you don't know AS4, wait till the completion of India's 10, because I mean, right now I will not explain AS4 or India's 10. Correct? So can I say this was the date of approval? So can I say any information which is between reporting date and approval of financial statement, that is relevant. So if the estimation is given after approval of financial statement and actual event came after approval of financial statement, that is not relevant for AS4 या India's 10. So this is actually not relevant. Now the question is that on 31st March, we should create provision based on the initial estimation or estimation made on 31st March. Estimation made on 31st March, it means we should create provision of 5.2 crore lakh. 5.2 crore or 5.2 minus 3.6. So we should create a provision of 5.2 crore and we should create a reimbursement asset of, no, ruko. 1 second. Ruko. I said you should create a reimbursement asset. You said 3.6, wrong. पहले बोलो, ask me sir whether there is a virtually certain, whether it is virtually certain or not. Who will ask that? रुको. I can ask any question. You said sir रुको. Whether it is virtually certain, whether inflow is virtually certain. Virtually certain means chances are more than. So whether it is whether chances are more than 95%, it is given it is high. High does not mean virtually certain. High means it is probable. Chances are more than 50%. Chances are more than 50%. Chances are more than 50% does not mean it is virtually certain, and they have not given any indication of that. They have not given any indication of that. Now, if you write it is a reimbursement asset, means one part will be wrong. So there is no indication of virtual certainty. Case is right now pending, and this information is not available on 31st March. The case was decided after approval of financial statement. That information was not available on 31st March or before approval of financial statement. So you are not knowing about actual settlement. So they have said it is high. High means what? Whether virtual certainty? No, Baba, no. It means we should disclose the reimbursement as a contingent asset. बताओ, good question or bad question? Simple question or complicated question? जोर बोल, simple or complicated? बोल जोर से. Simple. Means I am forcing you to say. Simple or complicated? Simple only now, once you have understood. And it will become simple in exam when you can do it. Huh? So same to same question will not come. Similar question will come. Exactly same question don't expect. But similar question you can do or not. This type of question they will ask. Now if you want to read the answer, read it. Solution. What they have asked, whether the company is required to make provision for the claim from customer K as per the applicable index. Yes. If yes, please give the rationale for the same. Rewrite on present obligation arising from past event. Outflow is probable and amount can be estimated. Therefore, we'll create a provision. If the answer to A above is yes, what is the entry to pass in the books of account as on 31st March 2017? Give brief reasoning for your answer. So, generally it will be PL account debit provision. Now, it is payable within 1 year or after 1 year. It is current or non-current? Current liability. So your entry will be PL account debit to current liability. What is the amount? 5.2. So answer number, point number A is only correct. PL account debit to current liability. SOPL account debit to current liability. This is not correct. This is not correct. Correct. What will be the answer? What will be the accounting treatment of the action of QA against supplier F as per applicable index? So that on, since there is no virtual certainty for the reimbursement amount, they have written also QA Limited shall not recognize a contingent asset. Shall not recognize, yeah, shall not recognize a contingent asset. It is this sentence is not correct. Shall not recognize contingent asset or shall not recognize an asset. Suggested answer. Correct now. This is given by ICI. I will say we can never recognize contingent asset. Contingent asset cannot be recognized. We can recognize an asset. So shall not recognize an asset now. However, even though you are adding contingent asset, they will understand your emotions. But just right, we are here to write down correct words. So we cannot recognize an asset. Correct? Yes, sir. Here the probability of success of legal action is very high, but there is no concrete evidence which makes the inflow virtually certain. They have also written the same. Hence, it will be considered as contingent asset only and shall not be recognized. And shall not be recognized. You can add on it. Disclosure is required. Done. Good question. This type of question you can expect in CA final exam. This is the difference between abhi CA inter and CA final. The level of question will be good. Quality of question will be good. But concept remain same. Reimbursement you understood. Come to future operating loss. Future operating loss. Correct. Let me give you one case study. Means I will ask you because everything now depend upon your understanding. Suppose you have two factory. Factory 1, factory 2. Factory 1 is making a profit every year of 20 crore, but factory 2 is making a loss of 10 crore every year. And therefore you have decided to close down this factory because you have estimated that in the coming 2 years, in the next year, year 1 and year 2, there will be an operating loss. This is an estimated operating loss. Estimated operating loss of 10 crore and 10 crore will be made, and therefore you have decided to close down, but till now not closed down, and you have estimated that there will be operating loss of this, and you have decided to close down this after 2 years. After 2 years. Understand what I am saying? So this become, I mean right now, this was the actual loss of current year. Means I am saying this is what 31st March. Actual loss was 10 crore. And this was the future operating loss 10 crore, 10 crore. And shutdown will be यहाँ पर. So right now you are standing यहाँ पर reporting date. So should we make a provision for 20 crore? Should we make a provision of 20 crore? Understood what I am saying? Should we create a provision of 20 crore? Have you understood the example? I hope you have understood the example. So should we create a provision of 20 crore on 31st March? How many are saying no? How many are saying yes? So no is correct. But why no? It is based on future business. Future operating loss. Can you say not covered in this chapter only? Not covered. So one clarification has been given by Ind AS 37. If a future operating loss, Ind AS 37 is not applicable. Therefore, there is no need to recognize any provision for that. So it is a clarification, I will say. It is only a clarification. Neither provision nor contingent liability as it is related to future event. But please don't read till I read. Once you read now, interest lost. Because once you have read this sentence, then whatever I will ask, you will say same thing only. So don't read. तब मजा आएगा. Then your mind will run and you will try to think and try to analyze whatever I am saying. Correct? Yes, sir. Executory contract. Important. I hope everyone have done executory contract in Contract Act. You have done in CA Foundation na? There was one act, Contract Act 1918 क्या था? 18? 18? 32? 72? 72, हाँ 72. 1872. मैंने तो बहुत पहले किया था. Correct ना? So what do you mean by executory contract? Anyone? Executory contract. Now you must be thinking, sir, why you asking so many questions? It is the first time in your life, in any class, a teacher is asking so many questions. अरे बोलना रे, बोल दे yes. For the first time in your life, a teacher is asking so many questions in class. Means every time I am asking, Every time I'm taking a new question, first I am asking a question. Correct now? Means you are not habituated of answering any question actually. And I'm trying to make an habit. Means what I am saying that before I start, you refresh yourself. Otherwise, what I will say, whatever I will say, you will say, okay, sir, okay, sir. देखो, I can teach in this way also. देखो, उसमें ही मजा आता है. And believe me, I will save lot of time. But what will happen? The end result is that you'll come, you'll go, and you'll not understand anything. And can is that too? You can also do. You are a CA final student. Can't you read and understand? Can you see if you read this India Saaransh book has been designed in such a way, such a simple word, 80% you can understand by your own. 20% आ जाना. I will explain. But 80% what you will understand, that you will forget also. Let's read. अभी दूसरा style. Let me teach in this way. I am not asking any question. देखो बच्चों, executory contract are ऐसे होगा ना. I will only say are those contract under which neither party has performed any of its obligation or both the party have partially performed the obligation to an equal extent. Understood or not? You understood this English or not? And recall हुआ कुछ recall हुआ. अरे बोलना रे. Recall नहीं भी हुआ, but can you say this para you have understood or not? Understood. बोल दे yes or no. But when I will ask question now, you realize one thing. अरे we have forgotten. We have forgotten. When I will not ask this question now, you will say, अरे we know everything. Means suppose if I am not asking this question, what will you think? I know this thing. Am I right or not? When I am asking a question, you realize, array, I have forgotten. How can I forget? How can I forget when guilt will come? Just I asked, what is real account? Have you got the answer? Anyone who have went home and then asked someone real account? Have you done that thing? What is real account? How many of you in your, whenever you have got time, how many have done some research on real account? Anyone who have done research on real account? Because I have asked that question and I say that I will not give the answer, you only find out the answer. How many of you have given some time on real account? Raise your hand. Dekho, this is what? Why you are worried? Okay, okay. Raise your hand, Ray. I have forgotten. So real account. How many of you have done research? अरे रेज करो ना, शर्माते क्यों है यार? ऐसे रेज करो. I just want to inform those students who have not done the research. After asking a question from your teacher, then also you are not giving on time on that. Try to understand this fact. Means you, what is the intention here? Intention is only to pass exam. Intention is only to pass exam. Pass करवा दो sir. Pass करवा दो. Means 90% student only want to pass exam. 90% student only want to pass exam, whether they are understanding or not understanding. Pass करवा दो. That should not be the criteria. You should not learn to pass. Pass हो जाओगे. You will be pass exam. Learn to understand. You should learn to understand. You should not learn to pass the exam. You are here only to pass the examination. You are doing a CA, a professional course, highest accounting degree. Achha, after becoming CA, what will be the expectation of society from you? You are a chartered accountant, bhai. So, you know, I never say to anyone that I am a chartered accountant. I never say, because I am fed up. I am fed up with this thing. Once I say CA na, respect aa jata hai. They start respecting me. And they will not mingle with me. They will not mingle. अरे भाई मेरे से ही बात कर ले. I never say when I will go to some party etc. I will never say I'm a chartered accountant. Initially, though, I will never say because they start respecting and they will ask a lot of questions. ना कैसे पढ़ाई किया? How you become CA? How you become? You don't look like CA. अरे भाई हो गया. Just try to understand what I am saying. See, once you become CA and once you inform other that you are a chartered accountant, respect will come. Your recognition will automatically become in the society. And that course you are doing, that course you are doing. So there is a lot of expectation from there is a lot of expectation. And don't learn only to pass. Don't learn. Learn to understand because a lot of expectations are there. And I think with CA final only, once you say to the society now you are CA final, respect will come. CA to chodo. Once you say to anyone I am in CA final, acha, how? First question will be how? Yes or no? Am I right or not? It means with CA final only that respect is coming. What will happen when you will become CA? And I am saying correct that I never say that I am CA to the new person. Now I don't say. Initially I used to say, मजा आता था. I am a chartered accountant बोलने में. Correct. Now I don't say because I am fed up. And believe me, they will not interact with me. I have very less friend because of this person, because of this perspective. Yeah, I'm a chartered accountant. Nobody want to interact with me. Are you getting what I am saying? We CA have less friend only. You have a lot of friends. No, because we are CA. We are exceptional. We are rare. We are unique. बोलना yes or no? That course you are doing. That course. So we should have highest knowledge or not. Try to understand this fact. When I ask real account and you are not researching that, there is some objective is defeated. Objective is defeated. Got this point? Correct. Now, if you have done real account, I said initial 10 days I'll be slow because I just want to change your nature first. I just want to change your nature. FR is very easy once you change your nature. Once you change your nature. What is real account? Anyone who have got the answer? Means those who have huh? Means those who have closing balance. The personal account have also closing balance. This is Google Baba answer. Am I right or not? Google Baba answer? Mahabakwas answer. Google Baba mein what is the answer? Is Google Baba mein answer come from what? From us only. If I am writing the content anywhere, that will come in Google Baba. Correct now. The first answer will be with the most views. Most views will become the first answer. This is a totally bakwas answer. Correct. Any other real account means most of the people they don't know what is real account. This answer if you are getting in Google Baba, so most of the people is not knowing the answer because you are saying those accounts which are not closed, the personal account also not closed. Receivable is a personal account, so that is also not closed. What is real account? The account related to asset. Asset. So debtor is an asset or liability. The debtor is a real account or personal account. Your answer is also wrong. From where you got this answer? From book. Which book? Foundation. Foundation. Which book? Means which ICI book or any ICI? No, ICI में this answer is not given. This is not the answer given. Huh? ICI study material. This is not a complete definition then. Complete definition give. You have not given the complete definition then. Huh? So you have not given. You have given partial definition. So as per ICI book, correct now. As per ICI study matter, CA foundation reference. Correct. That is the correct definition. All asset of business except that. That means receivable. Because receivable will personal account. Except that all asset will be what? Real account. whether tangible, intangible. All asset except debt. Debt means what? Receivable. That was missing in the question. That was missing in your answer. So all asset of business except debt are real account. Are real account. Correct. So why I have asked this question? Only to inform you that we all know the rules. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out, debit a receiver, credit a giver, debit all expenses, credit all income. But nobody has explained in detail the meaning of account. And there was some conceptual mistake. Because once you become chartered accountant, so you need to classify all assets as per the respective nature. So their definition will prevail. Because in a given situation, a new item may come in your life. So new item is an asset, it is not an asset. You need to apply the definition now. So in that perspective, a chartered accountant will act and they will say whether it is an asset or it is not an asset by applying the definition or recognition criteria. And therefore, this Ind AS and AS are very important in our life. Correct? Yes, sir. So coming to executive contract, let us now, I will not ask the question. Are those contracts under which neither party has performed any of its obligation? Neither party has performed any of its obligation, or both the party has performed some part of obligation to an equal extent. To an equal extent. For example, we have done one contract. So, but in our contract, who has obligation? Whether I have obligation or you have obligation. Both party have obligation. I have an obligation to teach, to provide services. You have an obligation to pay. So suppose we have done one contract. I have also not started teaching and you have also not paid the amount. Or I have done 50% teaching, you have paid 50% amount. So this is become an executory contract. This become executory contract. Now let me take one example from India's 37 point of view. You will say whether provision will be created or provision will not be created. Apply your common sense once again. Suppose A Limited has done one contract to purchase a machinery from B Limited, correct, at rupees 10 lakh after 6 months. After 6 months. Contract was done on 1/4/2024. Chalo, report it. Contract was done on 1st Feb 2024. Correct? Understood? So can you see it become an executory contract? Because neither the machinery has been delivered nor the payment has been made. It become an executory contract or not? Now, but contract is there. My question is that whether A Limited should create a liability of 10 lakh on 1st Feb or on 31st March 2024. Bolo. Whether A Limited should create a provision means liability. Correct now. Whether A Limited should create a provision or liability of rupees 10 lakh on 30 for the year ended 31st March 2024. Yes or no? How many are saying no? How many are saying yes? कुछ भी बोल दो यार. Question is this much only. Now exam this question come. You have only 2 minutes. You answer now. You leave it. Answer. Whether your answer is correct or wrong, they will decide. Answer now. Follow. Whether we should create a provision for the year ended 31st March 2024. Anyone saying yes? Everyone saying no? तब नहीं समझ में आ रहा है. One second. मेरी बात समझो. Because once the 10 days will over, I will start my speed and you will not be able to match me. Abhi I am slow. I am just inculcating one habit that you should think. You should think. Otherwise, you will accept whatever I am saying. If देखो, I can also give answer. No, provision will not be created because this is depends upon future event. It is a future event, na? It is a future event. But once I give answer, you become relaxed. You become relaxed. Arey sir, easy only. But same question will come in exam. You will be confused. Same question will come in exam. You will be confused because you have not used your analytical thinking. So try to use that. Maximum what will happen in class, you are giving wrong answer. And we should always learn from our mistakes. We should always learn from our mistake. But if you will not answer, how you will understand that you have given wrong answer? Dekho, one more thing. There are three types of student after this question. One is giving yes, one is giving no, one is giving silent. Yes means wrong answer. This person will realize that I have done mistake. They will try to improve. No, they will say, okay, I am the best. I can do anything. This is also positive thinking. But this person, silent. I am worried about this person. This person, I am worried about this person. These two will become CA. Are you able to understand what I am saying? Those who are giving wrong answer, they will also become CA. Those who are giving correct answer, they will also become CA. But those who are silent, I have a doubt about them. I have a doubt about them. Are you getting what I am saying? Because they have doubt about themselves also. Because they are not giving answer, they are doubting about their answer. Nah. Means you have a doubt about yourself. So how ICA will give you marks? So I am worried about this type of person. So try to change. Try to change. Otherwise, ICI will change you. So don't give ICI a time to change you. Understood? Correct. So once again, I am saying I am not worried about those person who is giving wrong answer. 100% they will become C. 100% they will become C. The wrong answer is acceptable, but this is not acceptable. ठीक है ना? So of course the answer is no, because can you say it is depends upon future event, because till now machinery has not been received. So how can they? There is no obligation to pay. So obligation to pay will arise only when machinery is delivered. So what Ind AS 37 says, that Ind AS 37 is not applicable to executory contract. Ind AS 37 is not applicable to executory contract unless it become onerous. Unless it become onerous. So now I need to explain what do you mean by onerous contract. Correct now. So I will now extend the example. I will extend the example. So it was after 6 months. After 6 months. Now what happened? What happened? The contract was on 1st Feb 2024. On 28th Feb, this entity has decided they will change the production method. Entity has decided to change the production method. Correct? Understood? And because they have changed the production method, now they don't want this machinery. Now they don't want this machinery. Now whenever we do contract, can is contract means cancelable contract or non-cancelable contract? Means whenever we have done contract, I say there was a contract, it is a cancelable or non-cancelable? Non-cancelable contract are those contract which can be cancelled upon payment of penalty. Are you getting what I am saying? So non-cancelable contract can be cancelled, but upon payment of penalty. Whenever we have done contract, contract means non-cancelable because it is enforceable in the eyes of law. So both parties' rights and obligations are enforceable. So they can file a case. If suppose they will say I will not purchase. Correct now. So B Limited has right to file a case against what? A, and of course the court will decide in favor of what? B Limited. They need to pay some penalty in that case. Are you getting what I am saying? So non-cancelable contract are those contracts which can be cancelled upon payment of penalty. Now, but situation happened on 20th Feb. What happened? They want to change the production method, and if they change the production method, they don't require this machinery. So can they cancel the contract? Yes, but upon payment of penalty, or they will purchase the machinery. Case if they will purchase the machinery of no use, so can you say this become an onerous contract? Onerous contract are those contracts where the expected cost expected cost of this contract will be more than expected benefit under this contract. Means whenever cost is more than benefit, it become onerous. It become onerous. Onerous means burden. Okay, now this contract become a burden for A Limited. This contract become burden for A Limited. So now the question is that now on this date on 28 means for this year ended 31st March, once this contract become onerous, whether Ind AS 37 will be applicable or not applicable, Ind AS 37 says now it will be applicable and you should create a provision for expected losses. Expected losses means unavoidable cost. Unavoidable cost. It means Ind AS 37 is very much clear that no provision, no means Ind AS 37 is not applicable for executory contract, but it will be applicable once it become onerous. Once it become onerous. Understood? Correct. Let us read what is given. This tender does not apply to executory contract unless they are onerous. So now we need to understand the meaning of onerous contract. So onerous contract, this is super important. This becomes super important. An onerous contract is a contract in which unavoidable cost, the cost which cannot be avoided, of meeting the obligation under the contract exceed the economic benefit expected to be received under it. Unavoidable cost is more than the expected benefit under that contract. Meaning is very simple. Correct. If an entity has a contract that is onerous, if the entity has a contract that is onerous, the present obligation under the contract shall be recognized and measured as provision. Measure as provision. So we should recognize a provision. What will be that amount of provision? So what India says that in this case, the amount of provision, in this case, the amount of provision should be equal to unavoidable cost. Should be equal to unavoidable cost, which will be lower of A and B. Unavoidable cost will be lower of A and B. So A will be cost of fulfilling the obligation. Cost of fulfilling the obligation. So in our example, what was the cost of fulfilling the obligation? 10 lakh. 10 lakh. So 10 lakh they need to pay. Correct. Cost of fulfilling the obligation or any compensation or penalty payable arising from failure to fulfill it. So if suppose there is some penalty clause and we can cancel the contract after payment of such penalty, and suppose in the contract it was mentioned that contract can be cancelled by payment of 2 lakh. So of course we'll cancel by paying 2 lakh. So it will be 10 lakh or 2 lakh whichever is lower, and that will be the amount of provision. Are you getting? And suppose there is no penalty clause, so amount of provision will be equal to 10 lakh. Amount of provision will be equal to 10 lakh. Very simple. Correct? Yes, sir. So in this case, amount of provision will be equal to unavoidable cost, which is lower of cost of fulfilling the contract or any compensation or penalty arising from failure to fulfill it. Very easy. Only I need to explain, sir, what do you mean by unavoidable cost? What do you mean by unavoidable cost? What do you mean by unavoidable cost? If I am saying unavoidable cost, unavoidable cost which we are supposed to pay only, it cannot be avoided. Correct now. So what India says, let us read. The cost of fulfilling a contract comprise the cost that relate directly to the contract. Means all the direct costs we are saying, direct cost. Costs relate directly to contract consist of both the incremental cost of fulfilling that contract. Incremental costs are those costs which will be incurred only when we will fulfill the contract. Correct. Means if you will not fulfill the contract, that cost will not be incurred. So that become incremental cost. The incremental cost, suppose you are doing some production process, so the incremental cost will be the direct labor, direct material. That become the incremental cost. Correct now. So incremental cost of fulfilling the contract or and an allocation of all the directly attributable costs. For example, the depreciation of an item of PP used in fulfilling the contract means in simple word I say all the overhead costs. All the overhead costs. So this will become the costs that are directly relating to the contract. So this become the unavoidable cost. Correct. So what they want to say, unavoidable cost of meeting the obligation under the contract, only those costs that are incremental to the performance of the contract. Incremental cost means which will be incurred only when the contract is fulfilled, which will be incurred only when the contract will be fulfilled. Means can I say any cost which will be incurred even the contract is not fulfilled are not incremental cost. Means can I say any cost that relate to ongoing activities of the business, means that are part of ongoing activities of business should are not incremental costs, that are not unavoidable costs. For that cost we should not create any provision. For that cost we should not create any provision. So what they say, do not include allocated costs that will be incurred regardless of whether entity fulfill the contract or not fulfill the contract. Means any cost which will be incurred even the contract is not fulfilled, for that will not create any provision. It means these are related to these are related to ongoing activities, ongoing activities, correct? And this unavoidable cost cannot be avoided by the entity's future conduct of business. Means you are supposed to pay if that contract is fulfilled. Understood? Yes, sir. Any doubt? No doubt. Let me take some question, but we'll take question after break. We'll take question after break. Don't want break. थोड़ा सा be careful about that camera. Okay. कैमरा हिल गया. अच्छा ये स्क्रीन नहीं है क्या? तो स्क्रीन को बंद कर दे, ये मेरे को कंफ्यूज हो रहा है. बाद में चेंज कर देना, बाद में चेंज कर देना इसको. तो क्लोज कर दो. Now, can we start once again, everyone? Okay. So before break, we are discussing about onerous contract. I hope you have understood onerous contract. So whenever an executory contract become onerous, Ind AS 37 will be applicable, and we to create provision for the unavoidable cost, which will be lower of cost of fulfilling the contract, or any penalty or compensation payable. Correct? Yes, sir. There is one more point in this, the last para of this particular concept, what they want to say. Before a separate provision for an onerous contract is established, entity should recognize any impairment loss. Impairment loss, you remember impairment loss that has occurred on an asset. You remember impairment loss for decline in the value of asset, correct? Used in fulfilling that contract. But they want to say if the contract become onerous, so first you should recognize any impairment loss for those assets which have been used on that contract. After that balance, for the balance amount, provision for onerous contract should be created. So first we should recognize impairment loss for those assets which are dedicated to that contract, which are dedicated to that contract. Got this point? And for the balance amount, we should create provision for onerous contract. Correct. So this is one special point. Right on important. However, impairment loss is calculated as per Ind AS 36. So right now you will not be able to understand how to calculate impairment loss. Once Ind AS 36 will be over, you will better understand this para. You will better understand this para. Correct. Got this point? So whenever a contract become onerous, first we should calculate impairment loss on those assets which are dedicated on that contract as per Ind AS 36. For balance loss, we should create provision for onerous contract as per Ind AS 37. As per Ind AS 37. Correct. Let me take one question so that you can understand this particular para. Come to one newly inserted question. So this become important. All the newly inserted question are always important. You can see this have been asked in MTP May 2024. MTP May 2024. Question 33. Last question. The last question is newly inserted. Okay. An entity has a contract to purchase 1 million unit of gas at 23 paise per unit. So they have a contract to purchase 1 million unit of gas, giving a contract price of 2,30,000. So of course 1 million unit 23 paise will be what? How much? 2,30,000 only. The current market price of similar contract is 16 paise per unit, giving a price of rupees 1,60,000. The current market price of the similar contract is 16 paise. Okay, sir. All of the gas purchased by the entity is used to generate electricity using dedicated asset. So the gas will be used to generate electricity by using some dedicated asset. Determine the following situation, under the following situation, whether the contract is onerous and provision is required or not required. When they are given three situations, case 1, 2, 3. Let us do case number A. The electricity will be sold at a profit, means it will be sold at a profit. But whether it is an onerous contract, if the electricity will be sold at a profit, it means it is not an onerous contract. The electricity is sold to a wide range of customers. This is not a bakwas point. It's sold to one customer or wide range of customer of no use. It is sold at a profit. That is relevant. So it means it is not an onerous contract and therefore no provision is required. Simple. You can see the contract is not onerous. The first answer got. And no provision is required. Come to second point number B. The electricity is sold at a loss. Now they are saying at a loss. Means it become an onerous contract. It become an onerous contract because they have a purchase contract at what? 2,30,000. Correct. And the entity makes an overall operating loss. The electricity is sold to a wide range of customer. Okay, sir. So it become an onerous contract. In this, in this, can I say we should create a provision? But can I say first we should create impairment loss on dedicated asset? For that information has not been given. But can I say you write down that para also? Because they have said that this contract they will generate electricity by using dedicated asset. So first we need to calculate impairment loss on dedicated asset as per Ind AS 36, and for the balance loss we need to create provision for onerous contract as per Ind AS 37. Let's see what the answer has been given. The electricity is sold to a wide range of customers. This sentence is not relevant. Huh? The entity first consider whether the asset used to generate electricity are impaired. So first perform impairment testing as per India 36, coming soon in your life. How to perform impairment testing? Yeah, how to calculate impairment loss, that will be discussed under India 36. That is not asked also. They have not given any information about calculation of impairment loss. To the extent there is still a loss after the asset have been written down, a provision for onerous contract should be recorded. This question have been asked for the first time in by ICI. So very important. Till now for that para there was no question, and for the first time for that para they have given one question. Means it is one point we can understand. And all anytime they create a new question will be from those para for which there is no question, but we can expect one question or not. But what is the trend of ICI? ICI is very good. ICI will first create a new question. They will ask that question in RTP or MTP. Then they will ask in what? Exam. Trend is this. But ICI is known for changing the trend. Understood? ICI is known for changing the trend. But 90% of time they are a very good person. ICI is very good person. They will first inform you this is a new question. Then they will ask either same question or similar question in the exam. So good only na. Correct. But for this point for the first time they have asked. So now you can write up. Chalega, last point. Point number C you will answer. I will not answer. The entity sell the gas under the contract which it no longer need. Means they sell the gas under the contract which they no longer need. Means they do not want to generate electricity now to a third party for 18 paise per unit, 5 paise below cost. The entity determined that it would have to pay 55,000 to exit the purchase contract. Means 55,000 is penalty to cancel the contract. But what would be the amount of provision? 50. फिर देखो ये होता है when you don't understand, when you don't react. जो दिखता है वो होता नहीं, जो होता है वो दिखता नहीं. Means whatever is visible, actually that is not the answer, and what is not visible, that is the answer. 55,000. They want that every student, they also know that every student will answer 55,000. दिखा ना, मजा आ गया. First option will be 55,000 only. टिक, मजा आ गया. अरे भाई, first तो there are lower of A and B ना, तो cost of fulfilling the contract. So they can purchase and they can sell also. So they will purchase at what? 2,30,000. They will sell at what? What is the difference amount? That is unavoidable cost na. So point number 8, cost of fulfilling the contract will be how much? 50,000 or 55,000, whichever is lower. The amount of provision will be how much? 50,000. देखो मजा आ गया. मैंने बोला one question you will do and I was knowing that you will give wrong answer. देखो whenever I ask question na, only to inform you that please concentrate, because same thing will happen in exam. Same thing will happen in exam. So this is actually that we are not able to concentrate and say is 50 or 55. 50 they have given na, 50,000 being the lower. Chalega. But now you say after doing that concept, this question is complicated. This question become complicated when you forget the concept. You can't retain that concept. Then it become complicated question. But I was a super easy for CA final student to super easy. Done? Yes sir. Then there are some more question you read. I will not do. This is one थोड़ा सा illustration question, you will be able to understand question 31 you do by your own. 31 you do by your own. There is one more question already I have explained through example. This was asked in exam also, but already I have explained through example. Uh, this 24 you do by your own. This also you will be able to understand. Correct. There are some few question more you will be able to identify. Concept you have understood, you can get the answer. Now come to the next point. So we have understood onerous contract also. Now come to some small point. Changes in provision. Of course, can I say provision should require reassessment at the end of each reporting period till it is actually settled. Till it is actually settled. Means can I say at the end of each reporting period we should reassess the amount of provision due to new information or new development. Due to new information or new development, and that will be changes in accounting estimate. Changes in accounting estimate. So it is quite possible we need to increase the amount of provision or decrease the amount of provision, and if provision is no longer required, reverse it. If the provision is no longer required, reverse it. That is only given. Provision must be reviewed at the end of each reporting period and adjusted to reflect the best current estimate. Best current estimate. If provision is no longer required as it is not probable, amount of provision must be reversed. Correct. Got this point? Then there is one concept of unwinding of provisional amount. Unwinding of provisional amount is nothing but converting present value to future value. Correct. Can you say initially we have discounted? Initially we have discounted, but the payment will be with discounted amount or undiscounted amount. Undiscounted amount means, can you say every year we need to add interest to that? So when you add interest, that is known as unwinding of provisional amount. Means when you discount interest, we call it winding up. When you add interest, we call it unwinding. Unwinding of provisional amount. It is nothing but compounding of interest. Compounding of interest. But a new term in your life. Unwinding is a new term in your life. Correct now. So unwinding of provisional amount means what? When discounting is used, the carrying amount of provision increases every year. The carrying amount of provision increases every year, and that increased amount is treated as borrowing cost, and that borrowing cost will be charged to profit and loss account. So this will be borrowing cost charged to profit and loss account. Correct. Let me take one question. Question at 10. X Telecom Limited has an income tax litigation pending before appellate authority. Legal advisor opinion is that X Telecom Limited will lose the case and estimated the liability will be 1 crore. May arise in 2 years. The liability is recognized on a discounted basis. The discount rate at which liability has been discounted is 10%, and it is assumed that discount rate does not change over the period of 2 years. How should X Telecom Limited calculate the amount of borrowing cost? So we need to calculate borrowing cost. Correct. बताओ what will be the amount of provision? पहले बताओ what will be the amount of provision? So provision will be 1 crore multiplied by how much? 0.826. It will be 82 lakh 60,000. It depends upon how much decimal you are taking. You may take 4 decimal, 3 decimal. In our class will take 3 decimal. So in exam also will take 3 decimal. Make one habit. If question has info 4 decimal, then take 4 decimal. So respect the information given in the question. But if question is silent, we'll always take 3 decimal. Correct? Chalega? Yes, sir. So 82 lakh 60,000 means initial at Y0. What journal entry will do? Batao? Profit and loss account. Debit to provision. How much? 82 lakh 60,000. Then next year Y1 we need to calculate interest expense. We will say interest expense transfer to PL only. to what? Respective provision will add 10% interest. So 10% of 82 lakh 60,000 will be 8 lakh 26,000. 8 lakh 26,000. Next year Y2 once again will add interest. Okay, last year always the interest will be balancing figure due to approximation. Due to approximation in decimal we have taken. So last year always take interest as a balancing figure. That we are doing from CA Inter. Correct? Yes, sir. So interest expense, can you give me the balancing figure? Is the total amount should be 10 crore 9 lakh 40 1 4 9 lakh 9 lakh 14 9 lakh 14,000. Understood? Yes, sir. So this become the journal entry. This become the journal entry. Correct. Now, if you see the answer now, in answer what they have done, in answer what they have done, this is Y0. So this is what 82 lakh 60,000 is the present value for 2 year. Correct. Now, at this point of time, what they have done, they have calculated present value of 10 lakh for 1 year. That also you can do. So that will be what 10 lakh, sorry, 10 crore, 10 crore, na? 1 crore. 1 crore multiplied by what? 0.909. That will be what? 90 lakh 90,000. And this will be 1 crore. So in your answer, they have calculated this difference as what? Interest expense. Both answers are correct. We can do in this way, or if you want to do in that way. However, there will be some difference in the amount, but the concept remain same. Don't be confused with the solution. Chalega? Yes, sir. So this become one of the question of unwinding of provisional amount. Unwinding of provisional amount. So whenever we say unwinding in any chapter, it means adding interest. Adding interest to the discounted amount. So whenever I use the term unwinding, so just try to understand we are adding interest to the discounted amount. Done? Yes, sir. Then use of provision. Can I say we can use the amount of provision only for those expenditure for which it has been created? Can we use the amount of provision for any other purpose? If suppose the provision is no longer required? No, we cannot use the amount of provision for any other purpose. We need to reverse it if provision is no longer required. So a clarification has been given. A provision should be used only for those expenditure for which it was originally recognized. In other words, it cannot be used for any other purpose. If no longer required, reverse the amount of provision. Correct. It means what will be the accounting treatment if for recognition of provision, when you are recognizing provision, what will be journal entry? Can you say expense account debit to provision? Expense account debit to provision. If related to expense, expense account debit to provision. Expense account debit to provision. Got this point? And if you reverse the amount of provision, then what journal entry? Reverse journal entry. Then provision account debit to expense. Provision account debit to expense. Sometime what happen? Amount of provision related to construction or acquisition of the asset. If the amount of provision is related to acquisition or construction of asset, then the amount of provision will be capitalized to the cost price of asset. Are you getting what I am saying? So if the amount of provision is related to acquisition or construction of the asset, what journal entry you do? Asset account, respective asset account debit to provision. And if the provision is no longer required, then journal entry is what? Provision account debit to asset. Provision account debit to asset. Got this? I think no doubt. No doubt. चलेगा? Okay. You are saying no doubt? अरे बोलो ना yes or no. So I am asking one doubt. Can you give me one example for this? One example for this? You said no doubt, na? Can you give me one example for this? Cool. Have you done this type of journal entry anytime before in CA Foundation or CA Inter? अरे बोल दो yes or no. You said no doubt. अरे बोलना. I asked any doubt. You said no doubt ना. So I am asking you. Can you give me some example? No doubt means you have understood. You understood means you can answer whatever question I'm asking. अरे बोलना रे. I'm asking one question. Can you give me some example for this particular case? EMI. That is not based on abhi provision we are doing. That is a liability. That is not an estimated amount. That is actual amount. You have taken a loan. Loan is a provision or liability. Provisions are liability means pure liability. You have taken car on loan. तो entry car account debit loan. यही तो है. तो loan is provision. तो ठीक है. तो झटका लगा. झटका लगा. Okay, but you are answering. I'm happy. I'm happy that you are responding. Correct now. When you are answering, तो you are realizing अच्छा मैंने क्या जवाब दे दिया. It is good. It is good. What is my question? What I just want to realize that you are saying yes sir we have understood. Still now you are in CA Foundation and CA Inter. Whatever I will say, you will say yes sir and we proceed. Even though you are not understanding. Arey, we are not here to understand what is written in this book. Once again I will say take this book and go you know how read it. You will understand this English. And most of the time you will say yes sir we have understood. Because you are at CA final. You pass CA Inter exam. That much ability you have. But if this para is given, try to understand in actual way na. बोलना रे. So you don't know any example. However, in AS10 you might have done one of the example, but you have forgotten. That I know. AS10 only forgotten that particular point too. Do you remember any example through AS10? Yeah, very good. Dismantling of provision. Dismantling of what? Any? Chalo, I understood. You remember. Okay na? But what I just want to say that don't say yes sir no doubt till you understood. Till you understood. What happened? Correct. So just write down here. I will not explain right now because I need to for explaining this I need to go to AS10 means India 16. Until now we have not started India 16. It will be thoda sa discussion required. So just write down refer India 16. So there is only one example for this. Only one example. And that too we will do where? Under India 16. Under India 16. So right now I will not explain. But I just want to make you realize that you don't say yes sir till you understand. Till you understand, don't say yes sir. Then to what is the difference between CA Inter and CA Final? Same thing will happen. Chalega? Yes sir. Then come to the last point of this chapter, restructuring. Restructuring. Now what do you mean by restructuring? Can you give me one example of restructuring? Have you came across this word anytime before? Restructuring? In accounting, in accounting. Restructuring. Whatever you have done amalgamation chapter, that was also one type of restructuring. Amalgamation is one type of restructuring. Whenever you purchase any business, that is a restructuring. Correct now. Whenever you sell the business, that is also restructuring. Correct. So restructuring means any program which changes the scope of business without entering into liquidation. Means the going concern is not affected. Going concern is not affected. So any program which materially changes the scope of business, changes the scope of business. For example, I have decided to sell one of my business, not entire business, one of my business. For example, it is CA Foundation, CA Intern, CA Final Accounting. Correct. Now, but I have decided that I will not teach CA Foundation from today. So this is also restructuring. This is restructuring. A termination of one location or shifting from one location to another location is also restructuring, which changes the scope of business. That will become what? Restructuring. Understood? So it is a program which materially changes the scope of business. For example, sale of division, not sale of entity. When I am saying sale of entity, it will affect going concern. Correct. I am saying sale of one of the division, termination of a division, termination of a division, or closing of a business location, or relocation of business location, changing the location from one location to another location. Understood? Now you must be thinking, so why we are doing this particular point in India 37. Let me take one example now. You will understand the importance of this. Correct. Just try to understand. Suppose this is 31st March, and at this point of time entity decided to close down a factory, decided to close down the factory. Correct. But can I say actual closure will take some time? It may take 1 year, it may take 2 year, it may take 3 year. Abhi to we have decided. Let us assume expected closing date is 2 year, and we are expecting that on this date actual closure will happen. Actual closure will happen. So can I say this become a restructuring? This is a program which will change the scope of business. Correct. Now when actual closure will happen, there will be some cost which will be going to be incurred. Correct. Now for example, you need to terminate some employee, and for termination of employee you need to pay some compensation to employee. So that actually arises only because of that restructuring. Means if that restructuring has not happened, then that termination company's compensation was not supposed to pay. Means we are discussing about a cost which will be incurred because of what? Restructuring. Because of restructuring. So can you see there are some restructuring costs? Restructuring cost, one of the example I have given about termination cost, employee termination cost. Correct. Now the question is, should we create provision for that restructuring cost? Now I hope you have understood why Ind AS 37 is required. Now on this 31st March, on this reporting date, this is the actual expense, but here it become expected expense. अरे बोलना रे. So on 31st March, should we create a provision for such restructuring cost? What do you think? Yes or no? No. Why? No, no. I've decided now. Huh? Decided a meeting also happened. Low. Resolution passed. Directors meeting resolution passed. Now okay. Very good. Excellent. But I will say excellent when the best answer will come. Best answer will come. Correct now. Very good. Resolution passed, but then also what? It can be cancelled. Means it can be avoided. The payment can be avoided. The outflow may not be probable. Very good. Excellent. Excellent. Correct now. It means can I say in this way? Provision is required if the entity is committed to it. Can I say in this way? You are correct. But if the entity is committed to it, then the provision is required. Then the provision required. Right now only decision taken, decision can be reversed. But if there is a commitment and it can be understood with some facts and circumstances that commitment is there is some commitment for that restructuring, then India 37 says that yes, there is a constructive obligation. Now create provision. Now create provision. So we need to find out how that commitment will arise. How that commitment will arise. Correct now. So what India 37 says that if two conditions are satisfied, it means there is a constructive obligation. Means there is a commitment. Correct. First condition is what? Key entity has made a detailed plan for such restructuring. But when we'll make a detailed plan? When we are committed, then only we'll make a detailed plan. Are you getting what I am saying? So entity has made a detailed formal plan for such restructuring. This is the first condition. Second condition is what? Entity has started to implement such plan. Entity has started to implement such plan. We suppose they have given a advertisement in newspaper to find out potential buyer. So it means there is a commitment to sell or not. There is a commitment to sell or not. Are you getting what I am saying? Have you understood this point? Got this point? Correct. So what they are saying, the second condition is what? Entity has made, first condition is what? Entity has made detailed formal plan and entity has started to implement such plan or has made announcement of such plan. But when will do announcement? When we are committed. If we are not committed, we will never do announcement. For example, just try to understand. I will say when I was engaged. Engaged, you know? I'm a married person. Engagement, you know? Anyone married here? No one. Acha, you are married. Do you know about engagement feeling? Acha, before engagement, have you done any announcement in Facebook, etc.? Means you are committed before engagement only. Correct. It means you are committed before engagement. But I am saying my example. I was engaged. So before engagement, I have not done any announcement in what? Public means in Facebook. That time so it was Orkut I think so. That time there was no Facebook. But any social media, I have not done any announcement. Why? Because no commitment na. Are you getting what I am saying? After engagement, I have announced in the social media I am from single now mingle. Understood? It means commitment came. It means commitment came na. Are you getting? Means when I will do announcement, when we are commitment, otherwise we'll never do announcement. So what India 37 says that if the entity has made announcement of such plan, it means they are committed. It means there is a constructive obligation. Now recognize provision for such restructuring cost. Got this point? Have you understood? Very beautiful concept. Super important from examination point of view. Super important from examination point. Correct? I'm expecting a question till now not asked in exam. I don't know why they are not asking because scope is not there from this chapter. A question will come for 5 to 6 months. They are not asking because it's small chapters now. Small chapters. Let us first read the concept, then we'll come to the question. What they are saying, a provision for restructuring cost is required when the recognition criteria of provision are satisfied. Recognition criteria means three conditions. There must be present obligation arising from past event, which can be legal obligation or constructive obligation. In this case, it will be always constructive obligation. It cannot be legal obligation. Second, outflow of resource is probable and reliable estimation can be made. A constructive obligation for restructuring arises when, this is important, this para is important. Whenever a question will come, you write down this para in exam. First, entity has detailed formal plan for restructuring. Entity has made detailed formal plan for restructuring and entity has started to implement such plan or announce the main features of restructuring plan to those affected by it, to those affected by it means to the employee, to the creditor, to the members. They have done the announcement. Announcement can be done in any ways. Correct? Understood? Yes, sir. Measurement of provision. So what will be the amount of provision? What they are saying? A restructuring provision should include only the direct expenditure, of course the direct expenditure which are relating to what? Restructuring, which are related to restructuring, arising from restructuring, which are those that are both necessary entailed by restructuring. Necessary entailed means related to restructuring and not associated with the ongoing activities of the entity, means any expenditure which are related to ongoing activities of the entity, for that you will not create any provision because that are not related to restructuring cost. Suppose the employee are terminated, so you will pay also salary for the last month, but whatever salary you have paid for the last month, whether it is related to restructuring or related to ongoing activities, it is quite possible with termination compensation you also paid last month salary. So for that you will not create provision. For that salary amount you will not create any provision. Understood? Yes, sir. However, a restructuring provision does not include such costs, means will not create provision for the following, will not create provision for the following. They are just giving a clarification. Any retraining or relocation of continuing staff, any retraining expense or relocating the continuing staff. It is quite possible that some of the employee which has been retrenched can be reappointed in some other job within the entity. So that will be also some cost of what? Cost of reappointed, so retraining or relocating the staff, or marketing activities or investment in new system and distribution network. Suppose you are closing one factory and starting a new factory, so that is investment in new system. So for that you will not create provision. But why will not create provision for this? It is not past tense. Very good. Correct means मजा आ रहा है. These expenditure relate to what? Future conduct of business. These expenditure are related to future conduct of business. So any expenditure which are related to future conduct of business, for that provisions is not required. Retraining, future conduct of business, correct na? Reappointment, future conduct of business. Marketing, future conduct of business. New system, future conduct of business, correct na? And therefore no provision will be required. In simple words, these are not directly related to restructuring, correct? One more clarification has been given in point number F. Any future operating loss up to the date of restructuring are also not included in the amount of provision, because future operating loss also we do not create any provision unless the contract become onerous. Understood? Correct. Super important. This is the super important. Correct. One very good question. Let us take that question. I will take 10 minutes extra because I need to complete this chapter today only. Okay, 10 minutes extra, not more than that. Come to this. 32. Write down MRQ. MRQ means what? Must revise question before exam. MRQ means must revise question before exam. Some of the question I will identify as MRQ. So that become must revise before exam, whether expected or not expected. Because same to same question will come now, then bonus marks now. So before the last 2 hours now revise this type of questions. Okay, na? And I don't super expected also. Super expected. Now it is due. It will be asked. Correct now. It will be asked in exam. Either in your attempt or next attempt. But it will be asked. On 1st Jan 2002, the directors of Johansson Limited decided to terminate production at one of the company's division. Terminate production at one of the company division. This restructuring question. The decision was publicly announced on 31st Jan 2002. Publicly announced. So announcement will be done after formal plan only. It means there is a constructive obligation or not. So there is a constructive obligation. The activities of division were gradually reduced from 1st April 2002, and the closure is expected to be completed by 30th September 2002. So year end is to 31st March 2002. So we shall create provision on this date. We should create provision on year end 31st March 2002. At 31st Jan 2002, the directors prepare the following estimate of the financial implication of the closure. Okay, sir. Redundancy costs were initially estimated at 2 million. Redundancy cost initially estimated 2 million. Redundancy cost means what? Restructuring cost. Redundancy means when we are reducing something, that is known as what? Redundancy. Correct? Further expenditure of 8 lakh will be necessary to retrain employee who will be affected by the closure but remain with the Johnson Limited in different division. This retraining will begin in the early July 2002. The latest estimate are that redundancy cost will be 1.9 million with a retraining cost of 8,50,000. Just try to understand. This initial estimation was 2 million. This initial estimation was on 31st Jan 2002, but we want estimation on 31st March. We want estimation on 31st March. So when they are saying recent estimate or latest estimate, so what assumption you will take? This is what? Estimate on 31st March. So that we should create provision based on which estimation? Latest estimate, that is understood point from the information given the question, or we can assume that estimation is before approval of financial estimate. Before approval of financial estimate. So can you say in this we should create provision of 2 million or 1.9 million? 1.9 million provision should be created. Should we create provision for retraining? No, we should not create provision for retraining because they are dependent on future conduct of business. Point number 2. Plant and equipment having an expected carrying amount at 31st March 2002 of 8 million with a will have a recoverable amount of 1.5 million. This estimate remain valid. Actually, this para is related to impairment in days 36. Till now we have not done. So I need to only explain. You will automatically understand this point when you will do in days 36. Let us refer in days 36. Now in days 36 says that if the recoverable amount is how much? Now what is recoverable amount? I will explain in that chapter. If the recoverable amount is less than carrying amount, the difference will be impairment loss that will be recognized immediately in profit and loss account, not as a provision. That will be impairment loss. That will be impairment loss. So how much impairment loss will be recognized? 6.5 million. 6.5 million. Chalega. Yes, sir. Now division is under a contract to supply goods to a customer for the next 3 years at a predetermined price. So they are under a contract, executory contract, executory contract, executory contract. It will be necessary to pay compensation of 6 lakh to this customer. It will be necessary to pay compensation of 6 lakh to this customer. The customer is actually paid on 31st May 2002 was 5 lakh 50,000. So this 31st May can be before approval of financial statement also. We need to wait for the completion of the question. We don't know what is the approval date. We don't know the approval date. Correct. But can you say for this compensation also we should create provision because it become an onerous contract, but it will be 6 lakh or 5 lakh 50,000. We need to wait. We need to wait. Correct. The division will make operating loss of 3 lakh per month in the first 3 months of 2002 2003 and 2 lakh per month in the next 3 months of 2002 2003. This estimate provide accurate for April 2002 and May 2002. Well, this estimate proved accurate also. Should we create provision for future operating loss? No, so we will not create provision for future operating loss. This entire information is bakwas information. Point number 5. Point number 5. This para I will do first. देखो ना whether they have given approval date. They have not given approval date, na? No, they have not given approval date. Now just try to understand. Whenever a question is created like this, the compensation was actually paid on 31st May 2002 was 5 lakh 50,000. Correct now. When this information is given, now you take one assumption whether it is before approval or after approval. What is the rational assumption? What do you think? This payment is before approval or after approval of financial statement? Before approval or after approval? Can I say April mean normally can I say we take 3 month allowance for approval of financial statement and this information is given. So let us assume that only. So we'll assume that it is made before approval of financial statement. Therefore, Ind AS 10 will be applicable and we should create provision of what 5 lakh 50,000. Let's see. I have also forgotten the answer whether it is 6 lakh or 5 lakh 50,000. I also don't remember. Let's see what the answer has been given. But from my point of view, provision should be of 5,50,000. So except point number 5, let us read the solution. Because first they have given that only the two condition, and we should create a provision for restructuring cost. That too we have understood. First point number 1, we should create a provision of 1.9 million. That is only given. Balance you can read. You can read now. Correct. Then impairment loss, that already I have explained. We should create an impairment loss of 6.5 million. This you will automatically understand when we will do Ind AS 36. Then for compensation of breach of contract, what was the amount? 5.5 na? 5.5 lakh. So they have also created that only. Means they have also taken that assumption only. So write down here, because you will be confused when you are reading by your own. So it has been assumed that payment has been done before approval of financial statement. That assumption is required, and that is implied assumption actually. Means we need to go as per the emotions of the question. Sometimes we need to go as per the emotions of the question. Chalega? So write down. It has been assumed that payment has been done before approval of financial statement. Chalega. Then point number 4, can you say for future operating loss no provision is required? No provision is required. Up to this, so no query. Correct. Last point. Read. First, I will ask from you, in the given circumstances, how you will react. And 99% your answer will be correct as per ICS solution. As per ICS solution. Let's see whether you are. I have confidence that you will give me correct answer. Correct? Understood? So be with me only, huh? Don't prove me wrong. The division operate from a leasehold premises. Okay, sir. Now you know lease na. AS19 थोड़ा थोड़ा पता ना. The lease is a non-cancellable operating lease with an unexpired term of 5 years from 31st March 2002. Operating lease, you remember? AS19 operating lease, finance lease. Yes. So lease is a non-cancellable operating lease. The annual lease rental. So can you see, if you remember, in case of operating lease, we do not create any lease liability as per AS19. Correct now. We need to recognize the total lease payment as an expense over the lease term. As an expense over the lease term. Yeah, थोड़ा थोड़ा बता दिया. Payable on 31st March in arrear are 1.5 million. This annual lease rental is what? 1.5 million, which is payable at the end of each year. The landlord is not prepared to discuss any early termination payment. Means they don't want to discuss any early termination payment. Means it cannot be terminated. It cannot be terminated. Following the closure of division, it is estimated that Joyson Limited would be able to sublet the property from 1st October 2002. So it can be sublet to any other party. Means some amount can be recovered. Means out of 1.5 million some amount can be recovered, but it can be sublet from 1st October 2002 only. 1st October means after 6 months. After 6 months it can be sublet. 6 months, na? 6 months. Joyson Limited could expect to receive a rental of 3 lakh for the first 6-month period from 1st October to 31st March, and then annual rental of 5 lakh for each period ending 31st March 2004 to 31st March 2007, because expected date was of closure was what? Dekho, what was the expected date of closure? 30th September 2002, and they are saying this lease is non-cancellable, so the recovery will be up to what? 31st March 2007. All renters were received in arrear. All renter will be received in arrear. In arrear means it will be received at the end of the year. In arrear means what? At the end of the year, not at the beginning of the year. In arrear means at year end. At year end. At year end. Any discounting calculation should be performed using a discount rate of 5% per annum. You are given the following data for the discounting at 5% per annum. Present value they have given 0.95, 1.86, 2.72, 3.54, 4.32. This is cumulative discounting factor. This is y1, this is y1 plus y2, this is y1 plus y2 plus y3, and so on. Correct? Compute the amount that will be included in SOPL for the year ended 31st March 2002 in respect of decision to close the division of Johnson Limited. So only you need to calculate what can be the possible provisional amount. Because can I say now it become an onerous contract? Because now they cannot use this building or machinery. The building premises, correct. Now they will not be able to use the premises, and they cannot cancel the contract. So it become an onerous contract, but it can be sublet at what amount? 3 lakh for the first 6 months, then 5 lakh annual rent. So what will be the amount, possible amount of provision? क्या करेंगे? Can you say this 1.5 million is payable for how many year? 5 year. So what will be the amount? 1.5 into what? What will be present value? It is payable at the end of each year, na? You need to calculate present value. So 1.5 into what? 4.32. So this is the amount of payment. How much it is coming? 1.5 into 4.32 is equal to 6.48. Correct. This you have understood. Now recovery is what? 3 lakh for the first 6 months. But is starting from what? 1st October 2002. Correct. बताओ. उसको that will be minus ना. This 3 lakh will receive at the end of first year. So 3 lakh into what? 0.95 plus 5 lakh into what? This 5 lakh will be received at the end of the next 4 year. Next 4 year means second year, third year, fourth year and fifth year. 3 point means what you have done? 4.32 minus 0.95. How much it is coming? 3.37. Can you give me the total of this? How much it is coming total of this? $19. This was 6.48 na. अच्छा, this is given in 3 lakh. Oh, convert कर दो. This was 1.5 million. इसको 15 lakh कर दो ना. Make it 15 lakh ना. It will be 64.80. Now what is this? 19.7. So what is the difference? 45.10. 45.10. This will be the amount of provision. This will be the amount of provision. What is the answer given? They have given how much? 4.51 million. What is our answer? 4.51 million is 45.10 lakhs. Means answer is correct. Can you say even though if I would have not calculated, you have done the same calculation? This question is the same question will come. You can do the solution. But good question or not? Good question. Seem correct. But there is one point that I need to inform. Question is not correct. Question is not correct. What happened? As per AS 19 and as per Ind AS 17, but Ind AS 17 is deleted. Sunna. Why question is not correct? Why question is not correct? Lease accounting in the books of lessee, in the books of lessor, that only you have done. Now as per AS 19, AS 19 you remember, AS 19 and Ind AS 17 was same. Now they say that for accounting in the books of lessee, operating lease and finance lease, here also operating lease or finance lease. This was as per AS 19. But Ind AS 17 is now deleted. Now we have Ind AS 116. Ind AS 116 to Ind AS 7 deleted. Now Ind AS 116 came into force. Now as per Ind AS 16, in the books of lessee, there is no concept of operating lease, no concept of operating lease, no concept of finance lease. It is only lease. And in the books of lessor, there is a concept of what? Operating lease and finance lease. Means as per Ind AS 116, they will always create a liability. So they will pass one journal entry, asset account, debit to lease liability. So can you say if Ind AS 116 is into force, already liability is created, then why provision is required? And if you see the question, what is given? Question को read करो कि in the books of lessee it has been identified as operating lease, but now there is no concept of what? Operating lease, and this question is recently given in what? November 2023 when Ind AS 116 was into force. This question is wrong or not? But अब same questions will come in. I written super expected. I written super expected. अब if same question will come, what you'll do? You can't write question is wrong. You can't write. Write down in point number 5. Write down here. Because the question is wrong as per Ind AS 116 requirement. However, follow same solution in exam. If they ask same question, same solution follow. Because in exam you can't write question is wrong. Understood? You can't write. And can you say your paper is checked by whom? Any person, chartered accountant, and they will follow what? Suggested solution. And they will follow this solution. If I am checking, I'll give you full marks. Whatever you are writing. But I am not checking your paper. Got this point? So because it is recently added. However, there was one more question before Ind AS 116. Then I used to say that now they will rectify the question. Correct now. But they have not rectified it. However, they have more modified it. Correct now. So now I am think it might happen. The same question may come in exam. Be careful. So sometimes more conceptual knowledge become dangerous from exam point of view. Correct now. Therefore, I have written question wrong as per Ind AS 116. However, same question come follow the same solution. Now you can follow or not. And therefore, I have written MRQ. Must revise this question before exam. Because if you revise and go, then can I say you can write on the answer. Chalega? Understood? Yes, sir. With this, Ind AS 37, all points are over. Only what is left? Scope and disclosure. Let us read fast, and this chapter will be completed from my point of view. Then whatever questions are left, that will be your home assignment. Do it. Any doubt, we'll discuss in the class. Whatever question left, now you can do it, and you will have no doubt in that. But if some doubt is coming, we'll discuss in the class. Can we read the balance part? Scope means what? This chapter is not applicable to what? However, scope is actually the first point. But initially you will not be able to understand. To scope, this chapter means this Ind AS is not applicable to executory contract. Now you can understand unless it become onerous. It is not applicable to financial instrument contract. Financial instrument means financial asset. One of the example of financial asset is debtor. Look at debtor, provision for doubtful debtor. Now it become allowance for bad and doubtful debt is not covered here. So write down. It is not applicable to financial asset. A new term in your life, financial asset. Write down nothing but receivable. It is not applicable to receivable. Detailed discussion will be done in Ind AS 32, Ind AS 109. It is not applicable to income tax because we have a specific Ind AS 12 for income tax. So We learn about current tax, deferred tax. I know you know about current tax, deferred tax, but I also know how much you know. Correct now. So income tax will be covered under Ind AS 12. It will not be covered for employee benefit. So any payment to employee, even though it is estimated payment, expected payment, provision is created as per Ind AS 19 because we have what? We have Ind AS, specific Ind AS for that. So all the provision for employee benefit will be covered under Ind AS 19. Similarly, insurance contract, Ind AS 104 is there, but Ind AS 104 is not in our syllabus. It is not in syllabus. Correct? Yes, sir. Contingent consideration arising in case of business combination. So for business combination, we have a specific chapter, specific Ind AS 103. So that contingent consideration, even the contingent, the accounting will be done as per Ind AS 103. So that is also not covered under Ind AS 37. Now this scope question become important as MCQ question can be asked from these also. Correct now. Have chances are rare, but can be asked. Ind AS 37 cover A, B, C, D, all of the above ऐसा question आ सकता है. Correct? Yes, sir. Disclosure for each class of provision. Class of provision. A brief description of the nature of obligation. Nature of obligation defined. An indication of uncertainties about the amount of timing of those outflow. So you need to give some indication of uncertainties about the timing. The amount of any expected reimbursement. Amount of any expected reimbursement, stating the amount of any asset that has been recognized for that expected reimbursement. If you have recognized some expected reimbursement, that also disclose. Correct now. And if you have not recognized, then the disclosure required if the inflow is probable. Chalega. For each class of contingent liability, a brief description is required. Wherever practicable, an estimate of its financial effect. Means if you can estimate the amount, so give the estimation also. Give the estimation also. An indication of uncertainty relating to the amount or timing. So if there is some uncertainties, so that also disclose. Any possibility of any reimbursement. If suppose any reimbursement wala point is there, so that also you disclose. For each class of contingent asset, a brief description of the nature of contingent asset, an estimate of the financial effect if practicable. Now, Ind AS 37 does not discuss about the measurement of contingent asset. Correct now. Measurement of contingent asset. Got this point? They don't discuss about. But can you see if you want to measure the same principle as you have done measurement of provision, same principle will applied. But in exam they will never ask you the measurement of contingent asset. Got this point? Correct now. But they want for disclosure now. If you can estimate the amount of contingent asset, disclose it. Then they have mentioned one point ki if suppose it is impracticable to estimate, disclose the fact. If you can, if you are you getting what I am saying? So where any of the above information required is not disclosed because it is not practicable to do so. The facts will be disclosed. Means if you cannot estimate the amount of contingent liability, if you cannot estimate the amount of contingent asset, then disclose the fact that we are nalayak, we can't estimate it. Understood? So only disclose the fact that we cannot estimate the amount of contingent liability, we cannot estimate the amount of contingent asset. Correct? Then last point, difference. The difference is actually not in syllabus. Not in syllabus. So don't worry before exam for this difference. Not don't worry before exam. This is only for your practical understanding. Is suppose AS, you have some AS client, you should know what AS 29 also says. So there are some differences. Let us do that. Once the difference done, so AS also done. Means revision of AS done. Correct? Yes, sir. Now coming to Ind AS 37, AS 29, constructive obligation. So already I have said AS 29 is silent about constructive obligation. Correct? Silent. They are silent. Means silent means what? We can apply or we may ignore. So it depends upon your judgment whether you want to create provision for constructive obligation as per AS 29 or you don't want to create provision for constructive obligation as per AS 29. Understood? Means in your interview this type of question can be asked as per AS 29 should we create provision for constructive obligation? Well, it depends upon management judgment because AS 29 is silent regarding that. Discount Can you say AS29 does not allow discounting, but under Ind AS 37, if the time value of money is material, discounting is allowed. However, AS29 has given only one exception. In that situation, will do discounting. This exception is also nothing but the para which will do in Ind AS 16. I said now we'll refer Ind AS 16 for journal entry, asset accountability provisions. That time only I will explain this also. So I don't refer Ind AS 16 for that exception. So only in one particular exceptional situation, discounting is allowed under AS29. Otherwise, AS29 do not allow discounting. Contingent asset, our Ind AS 37 say required disclosure in financial statement. However, AS29 used to say disclose, but disclose in the report of approving authority. This was a totally bakwas point. Correct now. But AS29 used to say disclose in the report of approving authority. Onerous contract, our Ind AS 37 says that it requires recognition of impairment loss on the asset dedicated to such a contract before any provision is created as per Ind AS 37. One special point we have done, correct now. However, AS 29 was totally silent about this para. They discuss about onerous contract, but this para AS 29 was totally silent. Understood? Means these are only four differences. Apart from that, AS 29 and Ind AS 37 are full same. It means AS 29 also you have understood. Correct. But these differences are not in syllabus. Don't ask me before exam, sir, should we do this difference? I will say, do it, Baba. Correct. Means why to ask? It is not in syllabus. Okay. Correct. So all questions, balanced question will be homework. Homework means today only you do. Correct. If you don't have time, read question, read solution. Okay. That reading will not take more than 1 hour. Means if you do not have time, then read question, read solution. It will not take more than an hour, but come after doing all the questions so that we can complete all the doubts of this chapter. So tomorrow we'll start a new chapter in days 10. Thank you very much for today. Till then, bye bye, take care, enjoy your remaining day.